Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV podcast number 151. Terry Miller, your host here, along with Johnny V. Should we tell him what we were just talking about?
We were we were singing, and then we were talking about the band En Vogue.
Yeah, because if you don't have an early 90s reference to some all-women's group pop culture or pop music, with a early 90s group, then you're not
hip.
You're not having a Tuesday night.
En Vogue, Salt and Pepper, TLC.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the three you need to know.
At least. We could probably come up with a few more if we really thought about it.
I don't count Destiny's Child. That's too late.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're here. It is a Tuesday night, so of course we've got live Smashbox TV podcast. We're going to have Dana Vici join us with some updates from around the country, some tournament results and details that we see, maybe preview a few things that are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. We also might have a special guest in Madison Walker. I reached out to her, and I'll admit, Mads, you weren't my first choice. Your wifey, as we like to you like to refer to her, Paige Pierce, is again traveling. She's a crazy traveling woman all over the country. I saw her just a few days ago in Colorado. She immediately got in her car and ventured off to head toward Nashville, and she is still en route. Actually, she was going to first to Emporia to do a big signing and awesome thing with Dynamic Disc yesterday.
Pretty cool.
And now she's en route to Nashville. So I'll run into her again in a few days, but she hopes to join us next week.
She got like 5 different discs, 5 different Page discs. She's only a 4-time champion. Why did she get 5 discs?
Gosh, that reverse sexism again.
I know. I'm going to join the MRA movement.
Yes.
I'm gonna
So we're glad that you guys are here tonight. Again, we're going to have Dana and then hopefully a few updates and details out of Madison Walker. As always, we encourage you to interact with us on the live chat board that is found on YouTube. We're also pushing out to our Facebook stream, however, that is
and Twitch.
And Twitch, yes.
No one watches. I usually get 2 viewers.
So we don't pay as much attention to the Facebook feed, but if you do want to interact with us, the best place to do it is on the live chat that can be found on the side of your YouTube, depending on how and where you're watching it. So I think without further ado, we can get right to the guy that I'm just going to put him up for Dad of the Year. Let's get to him.
All right.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Dad of the Year?
Yes. Front runner.
Boom goes your daughter?
Yes.
No, I think that's a boo-boo.
Oh, boo-boo. Did that hit a little close to home there?
Ouch.
She's been saying, I went boom. Went boom.
All right. Well, get her a sponsorship out of Josh Barnhill at least. Happy birthday to you, Josh, today, by the way.
If it makes you feel better, my daughter went boom today, too.
Oh, in the bathroom, though?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Long story.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear any more. So, Dana, we've had a few off-camera conversations. Your wife is out furthering herself, her education, and bettering herself to further elevate and separate her from you. And you're at home.
You can go ahead and say it. She's at college partying.
Okay. Yeah, she does seem like the type. So you're at home with your beautiful little daughter, Edith, and single parenting for a few days is not so easy, I hear?
It's, you know what? It's a lot easier 2-on-1 than it is 1-on-1. And especially when incidents happen, like Friday. We were going to see some music in the park in Ottawa, and I stopped to get some coffee beforehand, and she's in the stroller, and next thing you know it, I'm moving the stroller, but she had other ideas. She leaned out into my turn and just took a header, like straight into into the ground onto
concrete, like the sidewalk.
It was basically it was like tile, but so it might as well been, you know, it was pretty bad. She's got a nice goose egg. It's currently a bruise and a little bit of a goose egg, but yeah, that's how we started out our 7 days together, and she got over it.
Great start.
But yeah, from there we haven't really had any other major issues except for a fight with the neighborhood cat she had earlier today. But we're still happy, smiling, alive. We're ready for Mom to come home, but.
It's not just dads. My wife, when my boy was younger, he was crawling up into her CRV that we have, and he went to. This is when I think he was maybe 2.5 or 3. He went to crawl up and reach, and he slipped, and he caught his face all the way down right into the concrete. So from like forehead down to cheek was raw. And she sent me a picture, and I was like, "What the did you do to my boy, my beautiful little boy?" And he took it like a champ. But it's not just us. We're not the only ones that mess things up, Dana.
Yeah.
So here's a good parenting question for you, Dana. Though, if you're taking a trip, we'll say with Edith, and how old is she?
She's going to be 2, July 27th.
Okay, so a 2-year-old, and you go to. We're going to say a gas station, and you need to run into the gas station because you guys are going to get a juice box and a kombucha or something. I don't know. We'll throw this out there. Do you take her out and do you bring her in? Let's take this a step further. She's napping. She's napping. Do you leave the car running, probably today, for instance, with air conditioning? And do you run in and get back out in under 4 minutes?
No.
No, not.
You
not
wake her
today.
up.
No, I'm
You
not,
instead wake her up and you bring her in with you, correct?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to. I would not stop and get her. I wouldn't wake her up, and I would not leave her in. But
At best, you if they're sleeping, you try to turn off the car. Although kids have a natural thing, the minute you turn off the car, they wake up. You turn off the car and lock it, but you don't leave it running.
Okay.
Someone just walks in and drives off with your car.
And your kid.
Yeah, Johnny, it's like 100 degrees out, man.
I know, but if you're going to be in there for like 3 to 4 minutes, you're literally running to the gas station and running out. You park it right next to the windows of the gas station. You crack the windows a little bit, whatever. I'm not talking like you're going into Kohl's and going shopping for like a new outfit, and you're like, "Hey kid, I'm going to roll up the windows. Don't go anywhere." I'm saying that like if you just need to run in for something, whatever it is, whether it's a water, a kombucha, whatever it is, that's better. But you don't leave the car running. That's bad.
Okay.
Bad dad.
Okay, so interesting.
It's really hot out, though, man.
Okay.
I know, but
She's already sweating in the back seat, even if I got the AC pumping.
odds are AC. Like I would say, odds are AC has been pumping, so that car is not that hot. But
Okay.
again,
Okay.
I think the three of us dad very differently is what I'm gonna say. That's where I will leave this. We'll move into disc golf. I think the three of us dad very differently. And do I have the oldest kids here? Yeah. So at 8 and 6, mine are alive and doing quite well.
Do you drive through the liquor store? You can drive through the liquor store with your kid, which we don't have any of in Wisconsin.
I know there were plenty in. If there's not a good enough reason already to go Ohio for disc golf, I can't tell you the amount of places. And I know this is going to be foreign to many of you, and it was different for me. I'm driving through Dayton and other areas, and there are literally drive-through beer depots, liquor stores. I don't know what they do or don't have in them. I didn't stop at any of them, but it looks kind of like a lot of them look like beat-up garages. We'll say that were kind of hollowed out from the front and the back, or just doors obviously lift up and down. But you pull around, you drive in, you're in your car, and you just say to somebody, "I'd like this, this, and this," and I guess they bring it to you and you pay, like a drive-through beer depot or store. And I'll just say not every state has those. So
Pennsylvania has some of them. They have those too. They have weird beer laws on.
Yes, they also have some very weird beer laws. But I think there also is that same way in Michigan, if I recall, which is funny. Wisconsin, of all places, doesn't offer this. Anyway. All right, we're going to move on. Let's get on to some disc golf. I'm sure somebody's hooting and hollering already that we're not talking about enough about disc golf. But Dana, that's what we got you for. You know everything from the PDGA website, and I'm sure you've done some research.
I definitely have. There's a ton of tournaments this last weekend. We're we're in the heart of the season.
The world's hangover is gone. That break that everyone takes, everyone's ready to get back into gear.
They drove right through that liquor store.
Yep. Although a lot of the major, some of the major players are, traveling Europe and doing the promo stuff and all that. So we didn't see, Macbeth out there playing Eagle, but they were out there doing disc golf stuff and doing that promo tour over in Finland. But they'll be back at it this coming weekend at the Estonia Open with, I believe most of the top U.S. pros that are over there are going to be playing, which would be Ricky, Paul, Eagle, and then the high energy tour of, I think it's a high energy tour. They're calling themselves Barsby, Philo, and Nico. I'm not sure if any other U.S. players are going to be there, but that's coming up this next weekend in Estonia. But here in the States, this last weekend was the Majestic over there in East Bethel, Minnesota, and across the Twin Cities up there. But
that's about 5 hours from us.
Went to Vision Quest and then finished at Highland Hills, which some of you that have been around for a while, it's a little bit more traditional to finish out there at Highland. And taking it down, he didn't go wire to wire, but when it came down to it, he played some really solid golf, shredded the final round. Kale Leviska got back to his winning ways at the Majestic. I think he said he first played the Majestic in 2006, or first won it in 2006, maybe.
I know he won it then. I'm not sure if that was the first year he played it. That might not be far off though.
Yeah, it's probably his first time. That's back in the Timmy Guild days. And then the next year was the famous putt at Highland Hills against Climo. Kale hit a pretty. How far was that putt? This awesome spin putt on the final hole to tie it.
That had to be somewhere between 60 and 90 feet. I'm sure there's a better recollection out there. I mean, I can envision the whole thing, but it was
electric.
Yeah, for years and if I watched it again, it may again give me goosebumps. It is just this most amazing putt, and one of the most clutch putts we've ever seen in disc golf that's been recorded and shown to the world of him, tying up Ken Climo or trying to chase him down on that final hole. It was it's just amazing. It's impossible to not have a smile on your face or get a goosebump when you watch that.
Yeah, unbelievable for him to do it in front of his home crowd. Kale, if you guys go play the Majestic someday, take a vacation. It's a pretty awesome event, great courses. Disc golf is just huge in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota, and you really feel it up there. But you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that's not cheering for Kale.
Yeah.
They follow Kale all weekend, cheer for every single shot, and it's pretty fun to watch. But Kale held off a charging Paul Ulibarri. Uli started out slow, going 990 at BRP, which was 10 strokes off the lead. Terry Roethlisberger had the hot round one at 70, but Uli went 1047, 1065 to finish the event, and dare I say, pick up a little momentum heading to Europe. He actually might be playing Estonia as well. I mean, nope, it doesn't look like he signed up for Estonia. He's playing the European Open though. Nice to see Uli putting a couple solid rounds together. It's been a little bit of a struggle for him this year. I wish I could see some video from the event, but it doesn't sound like there was any video. Do you guys think he was Anheuser putting or Heiser putting or a mix of?
It could have been Anheuser in the morning and Heiser the next day, and push putting, spin putting in the final round. Who knows?
Yeah.
Uli famously loves to switch up his putting style on any given day or weekend.
And then go.
Sounds
right
like whatever he did, it worked.
But anyways, so Kale took it down. Uli second, Terry third, and then Colin Bailey from Minnesota finished fourth. James Conrad in fifth. On the women's side, Katrina came out firing. She shot 81 at BRP, which was 984 rated. Really solid round. And then from there, kind of just coasted to to the victory, winning by 11 throws over Erica Stinchcomb and Holly Finley, who both tied for second. Leslie Todd finished in fourth. And then shout out to Link Morgan. He won the Masters division. Came all the way from Lancaster, PA. I was kind of surprised to see his name up on there. But so yeah, Majestic. It's definitely an event to go play, or at least go up and play in Minnesota. Check out those private courses. BRP is amazing. I haven't been to Vision Quest, but hear really great things about it. And then there's tons of other courses. They didn't even play Kaposia, which is another, it's a classic course.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing that that Kaposia, for a long time known as one of the best courses in the Midwest, and now they don't even play it. Like, just 10 years ago, that would have been unheard of. But they have so many phenomenal courses in that area now that they think Kaposia is not up to the Majestic standard.
Well, and that course, for instance, Kaposia that we're referencing, was even played in the 2001 Worlds. I mean, it was Kaposia and Inver Grove Heights, North Valley Park, two of the staples in the Twin Cities. And then, as you referenced earlier, Dana, the disc golf is so rich and is so deep out in Minnesota. There's a lot of great options, and we're seeing these tournaments, when given the chance, we see them go to some of these private facilities because, A, they're good courses, and B, you have that much more control, or you can have that much more control over everything that's happening.
And I think that's definitely, it's so much easier when you're at a private place to host the event, to run the event. It's not, multi-use park, public park, and all the things that go along with that. So I'm sure there's a number of reasons. We got UDisc on there saying Kaposia needs some maintenance usually, but let's move on from Minnesota and hop over to Shifletta. Or how do I say it, Terry?
Schleppia.
Schleppia.
There it
Is that
is.
right?
I don't know. It sounds right.
Whatever
I knew I knew it once, but it's
Don't
been a while
question
since
me. I'm Norwegian and Dutch.
I've seen you knock out some of these amazing some of these pronunciations too. Let's go to Germany or Finland and see how you do it with your. All right, what do you got, Dana?
Shifletta. I know how to say it, but now I'm blanking. I'm choking on the spot here. This is embarrassing. Let's say Sweden.
Okay.
We had the two-time current world champ head out there. This is latitude 64 land, literally. They're on latitude 64, but this is where their headquarters is. Disc golf tournament. It's supposedly some really epic disc golf. I want to say they had some video coverage going on out there. I'm not sure when it will be released, but I saw a few pro shot edits. One of which being, spoiler alert, Ricky Wysocki draining a 30-footer on his final hole to take down the victory over Timo Niisanen. So Ricky went there, stayed hot, got himself a one-throw victory, but I'm not sure what if the ratings are just low, but he didn't even hit his 1051 rating on the weekend. He went 1028, 1048, 1038, so it might just be one of those courses that doesn't really rate well, but anyways, he held off Timu, who's a great lefty player from Finland, and a couple other players. Let's see. I was excited to see Jesper Lundmark out there playing. He's one of Europe's was Europe's best player for a long time, and he's currently rated 1027, although it doesn't appear he has enough rounds rated to get it to that bold 1027, if you know what I'm saying. But I actually got to play with Jesper at the first Lemon Lake Worlds. So whatever year, was that 2010?
The first one, yeah. And Jesper, just to follow up with what you're saying, Dana, just to put it out there, for the longest time was the highest finishing non-Northern American or Europe, or what's the word I'm looking for? Highest finishing international player at the World Championships when he finished third in 2000 at at the Michigan Worlds, and that was a really big deal because we hadn't seen someone, from international play, someone come and do that well at the World Championships, and that was
2000?
really 2000.
He had to be pretty.
He was super young.
He was
like
very young.
18 or 19.
And funny enough, the gentleman that he edged out in 4th place. You want to take a guess? Anyone out there take a guess on the opposite end of the age spectrum? We'll say in that Final Four.
I know the answer. I was there.
Dana, take a quick guess.
One of the Listman brothers?
No, that's a good guess.
I hate to say it. Think older.
Maybe.
Oh, Dr. Rick.
There you go.
Dr. Rick Vokes, finishing, I believe, 4th at the World Championships. He was in the final 9. So you had one of the youngest people there, and then you had one of the oldest competitors who was eligible to be in another division even, and Dr. Rick Vokes finished 4th at that World. So pretty funny. Yeah,
Jesper, he was the face of Latitude 64 for a while. Has some signature discs, and as he was just an elite level player for quite some time. But I believe he's got to settle down with family and multiple kids and all that. But what I remember playing at Lemon Lake with him was when he was throwing, just the acceleration from it was all of a sudden it was just it just took off, and it was incredible power and just super smooth and to this explosive throw, and he could throw really far and really accurately, but world-class player for sure. He is not signed up for the European Open, so on the women's side, we have Ragna. She went over to the homeland with her baby, and it sounded like some interesting traveling solo with a baby. But she ended up having a really solid final round and got she won by 5 throws. And looks like that was the difference between her and Hanel Mata during the 3rd round was 5. So Ragna turned it on, got herself the victory. Vanessa finished in 3rd place. And Kristen Tatar also tied with Vanessa. So only a couple Americans. We'll kind of call Ragna American and Vanessa, but they both have their roots over in Europe in one way or another. But Estonia Open coming up this next weekend. We'll see a lot of the American names up top, and hopefully we get to catch a little footage from Skifletta.
Skellefteå.
Jumping back this way, up to British Columbia, the BC Open. This was an A tier presented by Innova, 177 total players, and Mr. Oregon himself, no, not Nate Sexton, I'm talking Scott Withers, went up, got himself the A tier victory. I think Scott has, at last count, 8 wins on the year.
Wow.
Mostly B tiers in Oregon. He just shreds. He's a 10-21 rated player. Seen him at a few bigger events, but he edged out Dustin Keegan, who I think is at an all-time high rating of 1019. Dustin's been grinding it out on tour for the last few years and just slowly but surely working that rating up, working that game up, and Dustin's having a pretty strong year. But Dustin finished in 2nd, above of Chris Waugh, who's been a long-time Northwest player, but Chris is back up in that 1,000 rated club. So nice work to those guys. That was a USDGC qualifier, so I'm not sure if Dustin was qualified or not, but I believe Scott and Chris definitely qualified, probably Matt Dixon, and maybe one of the guys that tied for 5th if Dustin wasn't already qualified. The women's division was much closer. It was a battle between a friend of the show, Zoe Andike, and Sarah Hokum. They both were playing some really strong golf. And when it came down to it, Sarah held off a charging Zoe to win by 2 throws. She beat Zoe, that is, beat Sarah by 2 throws that final round. So she would have had to beat her by 4 just to tie it, but I'm sure Sarah was probably sweating a little bit during that final round, having the push from Zoe. But nice to see Zotron out there playing. She's been doing so much promoting this year and so much behind-the-scenes stuff that a lot of people don't realize. I wonder what Zoe's been doing. Maybe she's working. Maybe she's doing this. She's out there doing tons of great things out in Oregon, out in the Pacific Northwest. So
yeah, we've given her an open channel to the show whenever she wants to catch up with us, and she's just swamped. She literally is just busy doing disc golf promotion and just odds and ends and things like that. So hopefully we'll get her on to catch up with her, because she had a lot of things kind of cooking. So I'll be curious to see where that all ends up.
Yeah. But I do want to say, received word that the great Canadian geezer Jim, his last name is, I apologize, it's escaping me, but he did pass away. I've talked about him previously on the show, but he's an old school disc golfer, and with the nickname the Great Canadian Geezer, he was hanging out with Steady Ed and the boys. So rest in peace, Jim. Let's keep rolling with some events. There was just so many good ones out there. Alaska, back-to-back A tiers. Looks like Avery Jenkins and oh boy,
Joe Schatt.
For some reason I thought Schwebe was still there.
Well, he was. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you find out that it looks like he had withdrawn from the event. I don't know exactly the story there. It looks like he had a decent opening round. Avery had a 62, for instance. Joe had a 57 to start, and Schwebe had a 64. So some either injury or fatigue or all of the above. I'm guessing it's something injury related. Schwebe plays quite a bit, so
I hope he's all right. I honestly, this is going to sound bad, but I saw that there was 2 scores well under par and the rest over par, and I looked early and I assumed it was Avery versus Schwebe. So I apologize to Joe Schlatt out of Anchorage. He was battling with Avery, and Avery went off final round, shot a 48, 1054 rated. Really strong round. That's got to feel good for Avery to go up there and get himself a victory in Alaska. And I'm sure he knocked out probably a dozen courses, if not more.
And
I thought I saw a 16.
Really?
Is what I thought I saw, and I could be incorrect, but I don't know if that was an Instagram or a Facebook post or something along those lines, but I could have swore that I saw Avery say something about 16 new courses as he's getting closer and closer to that magical 1,000 course mark.
Yeah, that's exciting. That'd be interesting to get him on the show as that gets closer. I wonder if he has what course he's going to play planned out, or how it's working, but he definitely seems to be systematically attacking different areas of the country this year to knock out courses, and I'd assume he's going to hit that. If he keeps up at this pace, he's going to hit that number. But,
and he certainly should. I think what you're really getting at is that he should maybe pick either a high-rated or a very special or iconic, or you don't want to go to a 9-hole pitch and putt, that's rated two stars or something.
He's got to have that lined up already.
You would assume, but depending on time and travel, and because he could get somewhere next month where he's planning on playing 4 courses, and all of a sudden he gets there and he's like, "Oh, there's actually 6 courses here. Uh-oh, that's gonna throw off my my projected course schedule." So
See old not like skipping courses to play.
Maybe
maybe it'll. I know he designed a disc golf park, I think, in Ohio recently at a private course. Maybe when that's finished, maybe it'll be a thing where he goes and plays a course that he designed or whatever.
Could be.
But, he's actually not signed up for any more events right now at this moment in time. I don't know if he's going to Europe to do media with the Disc Golf World Tour. I would assume he is, but with being in Alaska for a few weeks, it's going to be a quick turnaround to go home, see his family, and then jump over.
If he's even going home, he might fly from Alaska
He said he's going home.
Yeah,
He is? Okay.
I like how we all talk about him because we can Facebook stalk him whenever we need to. But
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. He is going home. 11 hours ago, he posted my Avery tracker's on. I'm finally headed home to see my beautiful family headed back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was 11 hours ago. So, where in the world is Avery Jenkins? It could be a legitimate game.
He doesn't hide.
No.
If you follow him on Twitter, you usually see about 5 to 6 posts right in a row from his different accounts and things like that. So Avery is not shy on the social medias. He was one of our first pros to really hit it that hard. So
Easy to hunt him down.
Yep. So he's probably sitting in an airplane or an airport right now. Maybe he's tuned in. Probably not. But here in Illinois, we had a women's-only event. Innova presents the Feather Frenzy, hosted by the Birdie Babes. And there was no open division, but there was a Masters division, which had 5 women playing in that. Barrett White took it down with a couple strong rounds, shooting above her rating, 925, 924. Shout out to Barrett. Playing advanced women, and winning was Haley King. She's usually we've been seeing her play open, but I'm assuming she bumped down to advanced because there was no division. So 7 advanced women. Haley took the 3-throw victory over Casey Glade, who's been playing really good disc golf lately. Seems like she's going to be a name to keep an eye on as she makes her way up the ranks. Winning intermediate women, Christy McCarthy. So we had recreational women. Angela Del Sasso got the victory, and then Janet Hershey winning novice women, and then we had one junior girl, Brooklyn Ordowski. So that was a total of 35 players. So good job to Gabby and the Birdie Babes. And yeah, it's cool seeing scrolling through the results, seeing the pink highlights for the the women's events every weekend, seeing more and more, and that's a great sign for the growth of women disc golf, I'd have to say.
Yeah, and obviously, Dana, I was out in Colorado. Whenever you're all wrapped up with all your events that you're going to talk about, I can get a little bit more in depth about the women's, the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championships presented by Dynamic Disc. It was certainly an amazing event for a lot of reasons. What else do you have after? I was just looking down the list, and one of the things that you had, I wanted to elaborate on. We saw. You mentioned Sarah Hokum winning. She said that was her first international victory. I saw her post that today, which was interesting of note. We don't see her travel as often overseas as we've seen, per se, Katrina Allen, who seems to be one of the most traveled, Valerie Jenkins, who travels quite a bit internationally, in the women's division. Is there any other names? Those two, I mean, Paige occasionally does, but not as often. Would it be Val and Kat are probably the two most? Regna, of course, originally coming from over there, but from overseas, but probably Val and Katrina, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then we've got to mention Vanessa at this point, who's living in Finland part-time, it seems, and part-time maybe back here in the States. Okay. But that's just recent of recent memory. Burl used to do some traveling. I think she'd go over to Europe for some of the bigger events. Des seems to. I'm trying to think if I remember seeing her name on some international results, or if she's generally stuck to the States. But
I feel like she has maybe just once or twice. I don't think it's been all too common for her to travel overseas.
I'm sure they've gone over a couple times, and I mean I know they went to Australia, or they've gone to Australia in years past. But I had something I wanted to say, but can't remember. Looking forward to this next weekend. As I said, a lot of the players are going to Estonia. Big Germ and Austin Turner are going to be out there as well. Austin just getting the bump up on the up to Discraft's elite team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big move for him. He's having a tremendous first year on tour. And then this weekend we got Silver Cup up in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Terry, Johnny, either of you going to be hanging out up there?
Not this weekend. No, I have not unfortunate, but I'm unfortunately busy. I'm fortunate enough to be able to go to my son's 8th birthday party, which nowadays is a little more important than disc golf events. And otherwise, I love Manitowoc. And my understanding is there was some complaints last year when it was the Pro Tour at Silver Cup. They've added holes. They're calling something called the Super Silver Cup. So they've actually extended some holes to make it more difficult. I know we're going to get a bunch of pros in town, so I would really like to get up there and take a look, and I'd love to play, but I think my wife would kill me. So it's unfortunate, but no, I'm not making it. And last time I checked, you weren't either. Is that correct?
That is correct. I will be gone. I've pushed back some plans. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away yesterday, so Friday morning I was originally going to be heading out to Nashville. It looks like I'm able to push that back now till Friday night, so I'll still be heading down to the Nissan Stadium experience taking place in Tennessee, in Nashville area. So I'm super excited. The Dynamic Disc crew out there and everything that they've done. Obviously doing it, 2 years in a row, I believe, over at the Cowboys Stadium, and now trying something different over at Nissan Stadium. I think a little later in the show, especially once we have Madison join us, we'll be able to talk a little bit more in depth about the recently announced the Dodger Stadium experience with regards to Innova and whatnot. So that's another conversation that I think we can get to a little later. But that's where I'll be, is heading down to Tennessee. I know there's talk, and a lot of our listeners are from the Midwest, and I know as of even tonight, I was reading various posts about whether or not the Rolling Ridge course is in fact going to be playable or not. It is a very damp and wet, swamp-like, low-lying area in a lot of the course, and there's a legitimate threat. And a few weeks ago, they had to move the amateurs from even playing the course at all because it was so wet. And so now they're still having a conversation as to if it will be able to be played this weekend, which for a lot of people can be really disappointing because Rolling Ridge is considered one of the best courses in the country. A lot of people love it. And so there's some people that are really either up in arms, and it is what it is. Mother Nature is Mother Nature, and there's only so much you can do. But with the threat of rain plus standing water already there are some challenges, and that'll all get figured out. And
I'm looking at it looks like we might be getting rain up there, and I know we're supposed to get a deluge tonight here in Milwaukee. They're saying like 6 to 7 inches of rain possibly. But
that's a deluge?
Deluge. They're talking about flash flooding. I heard that on the radio. There's a flash flood warning for Milwaukee area. But Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday up in the Appleton area, they're scheduled to get some rain or some precipitation. So, and as we said, that place it turns into a swamp in some of the lowland areas. It gets muddy. And it's just
they're not puddles, they're ponds, as John Turlap said.
Yeah, they're not puddles, they're ponds. That's a great way to put it.
So we'll see what happens. So again, a lot of our Midwesterners, there's a huge field, lots of great players. Johnny McRae has been hanging out there for the last week or so. A lot of really good stuff going on, and Johnny V and I played in that event for 15 consecutive years, last year being the first time since its existence that we had missed the event because we were covering it with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And so a little bit of that, I don't know, that, what's the word I'm looking for? It wore off. Once you missed one, now I'm like, eh.
Yeah, that's kind of, you're right. I totally feel like that. As great of an event as it is, you break the streak and you're kind of like, I'll get there.
So good luck to everyone in Manitowoc this weekend. I'm excited. Bobby Brown is on the board. Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, always telling me how wrong I am, says it was 3 years in a row at the AT&T Stadium. So this year, heading over to Nissan Stadium in Tennessee. They wanted to spread the love. That was a conversation that when we first found out about it, is that they wanted to spread the love around and take this experience to various places, and going to Tennessee was one that worked out well for them. So again, we'll talk about the whole in of a backed Dodger situation a little bit later. And we'll have Madison, because Madison was one of the people that actually visited Dodger Stadium in the original talks.
Wonderful.
I found that out this weekend. So, all right. Dana, do you want to hear about Colorado, or do we need to let you go? Do you want to hear about it from me or not?
Bring it on. I was thinking.
Go ahead if you got something else.
I would have brought Edith out there just to hang out and spectate with Ashley being gone, and flights to Denver being pretty cheap. That would have been a fun way to come spend a weekend. Maybe next year we can all go out and Ashley can play and Edith and I can spectate.
Perfect. That would be great.
Let's start with the most important division, Junior 4 girls.
Right on top of that list is Junior 4 girls. So for those that somehow didn't see me gushing about it, I'm going to just start right with the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championship, sponsored and presented by Dynamic Disc, is one of the single greatest tournaments in disc golf. And I didn't say women's tournaments. I said one of the greatest tournaments in disc golf. The amount of energy and effort that is put into that event is humbling to me as a TD. I've said to multiple people, I don't ever want to run a women's only event now, because they have set a bar so high, a new standard for women's disc golf events. So they only run it every other year because of the massive effort that it takes, and the sponsorships, the efforts, and just the involvement, the volunteerism. And they also love the idea that they run in opposite years of when the women's global event takes place. So you will see this hopefully again. The next iteration will be in 2019. Next year in 2018, there should be presumably a women's global event. We can confirm with Valerie Jenkins on that, but hopefully there will be. So those are some of the reasons and the logic. And I heard a gentleman say as we were wrapping up, they were breaking down the baskets, doing all this stuff on Sunday, and one guy said something along the lines of my only complaint is you guys should do this every year. And everybody can take that differently. And Ray, graciously, the tournament director, had said, yeah, but I'd like to stay married. And that was another perfect reason and a reasonable response. The amount of effort and energy that Ray and Josh and then a whole slew of guys that they put into it is it's just awesome. And I have to immediately also thank, besides all of those very well-deserved praise and accolades, I also have to thank specifically PDGA number 688, Jeff Hungerford, who lives just a couple miles from the course. He was one of the main guys there, up early every day, to bed late, all of that stuff, helping out on the course. He was super helpful and gracious 2 years ago. I know 2 years ago he hosted Madison, Ragna, and Paige at his house. This year it was, I think, Paige Bjorkis and her boyfriend and Paige Pierce. And then he helped cart me and my daughter Allison around. And so Jeff, thank you so much. Rides to and back from the airport, all that stuff. Gracious host when we went over to his house. So thank you to all of those people. The event is amazing. So we went out there on Thursday, and by we I mean my 8-year-old daughter Allison. We traveled out via our friends at Southwest to Denver, where we were picked up by Jeff Hungerford. And on Friday, what they had was open practice until 3 p.m. And at 3 p.m., there was a shotgun round that was started for a few of the divisions, not all of them, but any division that was about to play 3 rounds on the weekend. That's when they started. So they had a 3 p.m. start. It was played 18 holes. The next day, they had the junior girls and a bunch of the other junior divisions all play 1 round of 18 with a tee time, and then I think intermediate and a few other divisions, they played their 1 round in the morning, and then the pro women and everyone that played Friday, they went out, and then they cycled back through with a lot of the divisions that played in the morning, played an afternoon round. So it was just there was just people everywhere playing the entire time, and then finally on Sunday, the same people that played Friday were the same that played Saturday, that played Sunday. So some divisions played 3 rounds, some divisions played 2 rounds, and then the junior girls, my little daughter, and a few of the others played 1 round. And as much as all that is to spit out, it went flawlessly, and that was very, very impressive. So, junior 4 girls, yes, starting there. I cannot say enough. One of the bright stars and future players in our sport for sure was the junior girl that took first place, and I want to make sure I get her.
Haley Brannon?
Yes. Incredible. She's just incredible. I apologize. I forget her father's name. He was out there walking along and caddying and everything. He's clearly worked with her. They've worked with her, and she's got phenomenal form. I think Ray mentioned it last week on the show. Phenomenal form, and has a great attitude and performed very, very well. So, Haley, congratulations. What did she shoot, an 83 or something like that?
Yeah, plus 29 and 83.
Very, very impressive. So, congrats to Haley. And then in second place, I'm sorry, I'll get us there.
Amelia Johnson.
Amelia Johnson. It was great watching her play. Threw a lot of forehands. Great spirit. She was in second. And then my daughter, Allison, with her first ever round, shooting 123, which is just a crazy score to see anywhere. Shooting 123. My daughter, Allison. So.
Well, she is a PDGA player. Is she going to get a rating? Is she going to be
apparently
rated 204?
Yeah, and here's what I don't understand, and maybe someone there can clarify. I was shocked that there is enough propagators for the people that played that round. Well, I guess I'd have to see who all played, but
the round in the course and
but it doesn't matter. Either way, but it's awesome to see. I couldn't have been happier. My heart broke when she threw on hole 9. The one hole we didn't practice, go figures, the one hole she took a 13 on. It's a very tough hole. But she throws OB straight right because it's sidewalk immediately right off the tee. Wide right on the sidewalk, OB. Like, all right, you have to stand here and throw again. You're throwing 3. Then she throws, and she just trickles out of bounds into the road on the left by just barely. And she gets to move forward, and then she just all the way down the 367-foot hole with lots of obstacles. Oof. And that was a 13.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it was brutal. But
did she? Well, I mean, ultimately, I guess the big thing is, did she enjoy herself?
Absolutely.
And does she want to do it again?
She did. She was a delight. She was so much fun. That's the most disc golf she's ever seen or heard or played or been around. She took some pictures on Friday during the opening round. On Saturday, she played that round, and then Saturday afternoon, she walked around a little bit as well. She was a trooper, and she had a smile, and it was infectious, hopefully, for everybody, and she was great. So that was what we saw over there with my daughter playing. So thank you, Allison, for the amazing weekend. Real quickly, I'll read Grace Carlson in Junior 6 girls, your winner. Faith Carlson in Junior 5 girls as your winner. Breland Griffith, who was very helpful in a riot, Junior 3 girls winner. Lilu Clement, Junior 2 girls winner. Taylor Slocum, Junior 1 girls winner. And I'm just going to read off some other winners. Recreational women, Jennifer Petro, first place. Intermediate, Kim Spencer, first place. Lynn Leader, first place in Advanced Senior Grandmasters women. Always a smile on her face. Joy McNatt, Advanced Grandmasters women, first place. Michelle Burkhart, Advanced Masters, first place. Missy Gannon, first place in Advanced Women, looking for a sponsor, she said. Des Redding with, as usual, one of the best award speeches ever. It was hilarious. So Des destroying the field. I'll be polite. That's the most polite way I can say it. Just destroying the Masters women's field, taking home $1,065 for Masters women first place. And then an awesome battle. Spoiler alert, because my footage isn't out yet. Lisa Fakis in 4th, Hannah Leatherman in 3rd, Val Jenkins in 2nd, and Paige Pierce again, your champion.
And Paige,
and by again I mean She's on a tear right now. She didn't win last year, but I mean, she's just on a tear right now.
And you can tell by looking at the hole-by-hole scoring, Paige just crushed through the end of that course. Like birdie after birdie after birdie to basically kind of quote-unquote come back and win.
She was battling with Val stroke for stroke as the third and final round was getting going, and she made the turn and then kicked in the turbo boosters with positive K, and that was it. She just left everyone else behind, and there was no catching her. So I am genuinely excited to put together all of the women's footage from this event, because there was just some amazing play. And on the board, it's saying that the pro total payout was $7,390. And dollar for dollar, it has to be by far the best payout for women to go play at as a B tier or whatever. It's just amazing. So I don't know. I could go on and on for hours. I won't tonight, but I could go on for hours about that event, because they just do so many things so well. And Ray and Josh and the rest of the crew and Jeff and everyone else involved, they do everything well. There was 126 players, and every one of them had a caddy. And there was a tournament somewhere else going on not far from there. That's a very popular tournament, which was sold out, but there were still 126 caddies, most of which were male, if not all, were caddying for women, and they pay to be caddies.
Yeah.
What? Like, it's and I want to also give a quick shout out then. Paige Pierce was so gracious and amazing. You know, my daughter got to meet a ton of our top pros, and Paige and her caddy, actually, between them, they ultimately gave Paige's amazing first place trophy. She wrote on, it was a painting, which I almost brought tonight. It was a painting, and Paige personalized it on the back of it and then handed it to my daughter. So we actually brought home the first place trophy.
Wow.
In pro women. So thank you to Paige. That was very, very sweet of you. It was awesome. Just to put it in perspective real quickly, I think they paid $40 or so to play in the event, some of the lower divisions, the amateur divisions. When we got there, they were handed, I think, 4 or 5 discs just for playing. They were handed, I think, 4 or 5 discs. I was handed a disc as a caddy. We were given shirts and a whole slew of other things, and on top of it, they handed you $45 in script or funny money dollars, which you could then go spend with the vendors. So, yeah.
Insane.
It was ridiculous. It was. And
that's a shout out to Dynamic Disc. I mean,
Dynamic Disc and their other supporters and sponsors.
But, yes, but they are the primary sponsor, so you kind of got to give them the most credit.
Yeah, no, they certainly were, and seeing Steve Story and Jolly Doug, good old Doug Bjerkes there, and it just, very amazing experience. If you are not going to the Rocky Mountain Women's event, you are missing out on, like I said, one of the best tournaments in the entire sport of disc golf. And if you're not playing because you're a male, you need to bring any female in your life to that event, because it's impossible to not have a good time there and be treated very well. So, Purple Park in Superior, Colorado, which is, I think, like a northwestern suburb of Denver, for those asking where it is. Every other year, Purple Park, Denver, Colorado area, Superior. The town of Superior would want us to say town of Superior, but yes, northwestern suburb of Denver.
Has Dana, has Ashley played that event? No, not yet.
In 2 years, hopefully.
Okay.
She better. After that spiel, she better be there. I'll drag her there, because it's just that awesome. And I hope in 2 years I can bring my 10-year-old, and then my other daughter, who will then be 8. I would love to bring them both to the event so that they could both possibly play in it in a couple years. So, all right, that's my spiel. It just awesome. Ray, I think Ray's out on the board right now. Ray, again, hats off. I can't gush enough, and a lot of tournament directors and staff and people can take from what you guys do, because they leave no stone unturned, and they think of everything, and they take care of these players so well. It's awesome to see. It was funny. I think Paige won 1,500 on the dot for winning. On the other side of town, wherever Joe Revere was playing at the Bloom, I think is the other big event I was referencing.
Yeah.
He won that B. I think it was a B tier. $1,485. So
Well, good.
which is awesome. That was one little side note that I consumed the other day. So $1,500 for our efforts. Not too darn bad. All right, Dana. You like that? You gonna be there? You can caddy. You can take pictures. You can live score. How are you not excited about this? I'm jacked about going.
I'm hyped up. I looked at flights to fly out Saturday. I was like, hey, maybe me and Edith will go.
Yeah. Well, it
was a little last minute too.
Well, everybody needs to get it on their calendar, and I want to again thank them for bringing me in again. It was awesome 2 years ago. I'm working on the footage. I'm working with their amazing design team in Benjamin Fairley. And you're going to see video on roll. I've got the entire first round actually all edited together. It just needs graphics and scorecards. So,
you going to do any commentary, or you've done commentary on your edited videos?
I may have something up my sleeve.
Oh.
About that. I was thinking of bringing you in. You seem to
fan favorite.
Okay, maybe not. No. But I have something up my sleeve. I'm going to see if we can do something a little extra special. So look for those videos to unveil in the next week or so. But I've got some ideas.
You got ideas.
I got ideas. All right, Dana.
Real quick, Dana, your round 3 at the Utah Open dropped recently. There's been a lot of little chitter-chatter about that, watching you shred that course. How do you feel that it's now out there? Have you watched it like 3 or 4 times?
I mean, that's basically what I did all day today.
Just put it on Chromecast and just let it repeat.
Yeah, I put Moana on the computer for Edith, and then on my phone I watched, or on the TV, I watched my round just over and over. No, I watched it. It's cool to see. You know, it's when you play. It's my highest PDGA rated round ever,
which is
77. So it's cool to have, you know, your best. I don't know if it's my best round ever, but one of your best rounds ever on film and at a big event and all that's Central Coast, you know, one of the elite video crews out there. So very cool to see, and you know, it's. I'm glad the footage wasn't lost or something, because I was wondering. I didn't want to be that guy to say, "Hey, Ian, when are you dropping that?" And so it was a nice surprise to start getting some tweets and say, you know, when they put the footage out. So yeah.
Well, very cool. Good to see. How funny is it? We're at that point where there's multiple backlogs. Really, Jomez, who is at obviously a lot of our largest events, and those are the ones that they're focused on, and those are the ones that they're getting out. And they don't do a lot of the smaller events, we'll say, every single weekend. But whether it's myself or Central Coast, you know, they have a plethora of people out there filming on any given weekend all over the country, and there's actually a backlog that a few of us have in terms of being able to get footage out, because there's just so much of it to edit together and then, you know, have the world consume. It's not a bad place to be.
For sure.
All right. Do we have some? Do we have somebody being? Oh yes, we've got some visitors back on the chat board. Some of my favorite spam roboters people things. Okay, Dana, you got anything else before we cut you loose, buddy?
No, just I'm counting the days till Ashley's home so I can get back out there playing disc golf. No, that's about all I got. I'm kind of bummed no Silver Cup this year. Do love to go up to Manitowoc. They put on a tremendous show. The Lighthouse Inn is awesome to hang out at, and but hopefully that 15 inches of rain Johnny's talking about misses Rolling Ridge, because that would be a huge bummer to not get to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Bring the scuba gear out.
Bring it.
Galoshes. Get your waders.
All right, Dana, we're going to cut you loose. We're going to talk a little more disc golf happenings, maybe some politics, maybe some cool upcoming things, and all that other stuff. I think we can let you go, though.
All right, boys. I enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. See you, Smashies.
All right. Have
Thanks,
a good night. See you, Dana.
Dynamite.
All right. Of course, Dynamite, our regular weekly contributor, joining us, giving us some scores and updates from around the country. We appreciate it. Again, I have reached out to Madison Walker. It'd be great to get some insight not only on the Dodger Stadium experience that was recently announced. I know we can get some details from her, but also one of the cool things that we saw in the news that kind of just unfolded last night. We heard about it back in December, but just last night there was somewhat of a release. Was the Fluffy's Food Adventures that was taking place? Gabriel Iglesias.
I'm going to leave this up to you because I don't know who that is.
Yeah, so he's a...
I know he's a comedian, but
Yeah,
that's
he's a
about all I know.
comedian.
I'd seen him years ago.
And he's very much his nickname, or not, I won't say his stage name. His nickname has been Fluffy. He's a slightly larger gentleman, and he's got a show. I think he said it's in its second or third year, and I think it's gone through a little bit of a reorganization from. Or a little bit of a reformatting, I guess is maybe a good way to put it. I'm not familiar with the show from before, but it sounds like there's a slight reformat.
Now it's like fitness based, like
well,
trying to
not really.
get into shape or something.
So basically, he during the show, and if you haven't seen it, then I'm not really spoiling much, but I'll give you the synopsis. Basically, he visits a handful of different SoCal area eateries, whether it's a guy selling corn on the street illegally, or whether it's some mom and pop shop or whatever. He goes to a handful of different places. He talks about the local food and eatery or delicacies, or talks about the local or their specialty dishes or what they're maybe well known for. And then during the final few minutes of the show, I believe at roughly 18 minutes and 30 seconds, at the final few minutes of the show, his whole crew meets up with Kona and Paul Macbeth. And they're out at La Mirada. Kona and Paul kind of give them a couple of real quick basics as they show it, give them a few basics to disc golf, and then Fluffy and his crew play a few holes of disc golf.
Okay.
It was great. I mean, is disc golf going to explode into mainstream tomorrow? No. Was it negative? No. It was positive promotion. It was funny. It was pretty lighthearted. Kona and Paul are obviously tremendous ambassadors for the sport in their presentation and what they do. It was great. Like I said, I don't think it was.
Both are perfect for television. They're young and attractive golfers. They're both, Paul clearly at the top of the sport, Kona working her way up, and you couldn't ask for two better people right now.
Yeah, and it worked out really well. I think, if I recall us having a conversation with Paul right when this news was kind of dropping, I think it was actually rescheduled. I feel like it was rained out one day, and then they had to shoot it actually on a different day. Again, and I see the board. There's plenty of people that want to talk about the various. Is it winning any, Emmys?
No.
No. Did I fall off my chair laughing? No. Is Martin Scorsese going to call up any one of them and cast them in another role? No. It is what it is. In my opinion, it was all in positive light. Yeah. Therefore, I'm good with it.
Agreed. They weren't.
At least they weren't on this segment.
They weren't mocking us. They
no.
weren't.
Correct. They were not.
That's at least a positive.
They weren't at least on. I'll say this: Snoop Dogg is in the show.
Yeah.
And there's a weed reference. Spoiler. What? There's a weed reference or 10, but that wasn't associated to disc golf. And one argument could be made that, like you said, it could be a mockery or it could be, downplaying disc golf. But the weed and the disc golf were of two totally separate segments. So
that's good.
From that perspective, if that's what you're concerned with, there was a distinct separation there. The Snoop Dogg and Fluffy segment had nothing to do with the disc golf segment.
And the way I look at it, it may not be your cup of tea, but if it's not negative, it's a net positive for us. Because, like someone says, it's exposing people to our sport. Every little bit, if it gets 10 people out on the course that maybe wouldn't have been there before, that's a positive. So, ultimately,
again,
I'm fine with it.
It is not...
It's popcorn TV. That's what it is.
I'm not going to BS anyone and be like, oh my God, it was the most amazing thing of all time. And, thank you to everyone involved. No, but it was good. It was perfectly fine. So that's that was my take on it. I saw it last night. There was kind of some special preview. I think there was a link from someone. Maybe it was Paul himself. And then there was kind of a sneak preview, they called it. I watched it. It was all of 20-some minutes, and I watched it right on Facebook. I think it was on actual television tonight. So, but I'm sure you could go out there and find it by now.
All right.
All right. So,
Fluffy.
So there you go. That's what that was. Madison says, yeah, let me know. I'll set up my pewter.
All right, have her set it up. We'll do some talking. Actually, she'd be a good one. Maybe I'll hold off. I was gonna talk about the Disc Golf Pro Tour and their decision to have women's pins and tees on the Pro Tour. After specifically, we had Steve Dodge on a couple weeks ago. Wow, it's almost probably a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, when he announced that, talking about shorter tees for women. And I specifically asked him, is this going to change any events this year? And he told me no. 7/7, July 7th, goes out there and goes, hey, guess what, guys? We're going to have women's tees for the Vibram. We're changing up the tees. So I got a bone to pick with the guy. And granted, and he also talks about Ledgestone Insurance, how they're not going to be playing the Lake Eureka, which we'll talk to Madison about. I think it's a great decision because Lake Eureka is a rough, long course, probably not best suited for most of the women in our sport. So
okay, yeah, well, we'll be able to talk to her. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see her at those those particular
her
courses.
goal is to get to Vibram. I thought that's what she had said. Her goal was to make it to Vibram to be healthy enough. So we'll get the follow-up on that.
And it'd be great to get her input on some of those specifics that you're referencing. I know that when we were in Utah, I think it was Paige and Madison that had, and a lot of our top professional women had sat down with Steve Dodge to talk about various changes and ideas that he was either going to present or was thinking about. Excuse me. And he was getting input, direct feedback from our professional women's division. And I recall him having a conversation with them about the graduated fees, the entry fees, or the reduced entry fees, however you want to look at it, as well as some of the tees. So it'll be good to see what she says. All right. Let's see if we can get her dialed up in just a few moments here. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I didn't realize I was supposed to be dialing her up.
Oh, no, I'm not sure. You may or may not be able to. It's worth a shot. She may or may not be ready.
Okay, well, when she's ready, she can call us and we'll answer. What else have we got? Some quick news. Oh, there she is. Never mind then. I'm not going to...
Hold the phones, which I don't think anyone can say anymore.
Yeah, you still hold a phone. The term "hold the phones"
is that literal?
Well, I believe it was probably reference to probably like older school. I'm drawing a blank on who used to sit in
the operator.
The operator. I think it was "hold the phones, operator." But granted, you probably don't. Nobody does that anymore unless you live. I did hear someone talking on a podcast that his parents live, somewhere in like rural Illinois, way south. He said they are still on a party line is one of the things he was talking about. It was a big Comcast type, rant about how not getting things out to internet and stuff out to rural areas, the tech stuff I listen to, but that his family's still on a party line, which is very old school. So
the old school conference call, so to speak.
Yes. So,
all right. Well,
speaking of parties,
This
Okay.
girl
She
knows how to party. I don't know. We're gonna have Madison Walker join the show. Hey, Mads, how you doing tonight?
Is it brightness?
Yeah, it works.
Perfect. It's perfect. It's
You're the sunshine in our lives, Mads.
Good. I didn't want to get off the couch.
we're glad you put forth all the effort into our interviews.
What do we got? Are those some ginger snaps behind you? No, are those some other?
Actually, I found some
No, those are Nilla
off-brand-
wafers.
No, those.
Oh,
Okay,
those.
that's what I
Oh,
saw.
I saw the Nilla
they're
wafers.
off-brand Samoas.
Ugh.
Don't hate. They're delicious.
Get Girl Scout. What?
Well,
caramel
can you
delights?
this time of year? I don't think you can.
I think you can probably order them online or something. I'd imagine.
My daughter has some spare ones you can
Yeah,
get.
in my spare time, I order cookies online.
Hey, today is Amazon Prime Day. Today's the best day to order anything,
Oh, that's
apparently.
true. That's true.
And you've got nothing else to do right now than order cookies online. What?
Whatever. I have lots to do. Look,
All
I
right.
even have my weight right here. I'm lifting weights.
Okay, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
That is.
What,
It's a 2-pounder.
what's the repetition schedule with that? How often? How many reps?
Well, I was going to say, first, let's get into, before we talk about that, let's get into the injury itself. So you are now currently taking a break from touring. I think you had said you were hoping it was 4 to 6 weeks, maybe up to 8.
I think 6 to 8.
6 to 8. Explain exactly what happened and what your prognosis is and what your hopes are.
Well, I got into a bar fight.
Mm-hmm.
The other girl's still in the hospital.
Oh,
Bad.
first mistake is you need to throw punches with your non-throwing
I know.
hand.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're mad, you
Your
just
instinct, I know, is to go with the dominant
strong
hand.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
the key actually is knee.
But it's funny how many people believe that story. Like, people are like, and I'm like, yeah, the other girl's still in the hospital, and they're like, but no, I tripped and fell. It was very lame. I had my heavy water bottle in my bag, was walking to my tea time, and then I continued to play through it. I think I might have already been on the show and told you all of this, but yeah, so playing through the injury, I think, made it worse. I didn't give it enough time to heal, and then it developed into a type of tendonitis, I believe. I got a steroid shot. The doctor didn't prescribe physical therapy, so since then it got weaker, and then I tried to play on it when it was weak, and I think it's just steadily bad advice and bad decision making, and it's just gotten worse and worse. So now I'm taking the time off. It's a repetitive use injury, tendonitis, so I have to stop doing the repetitive motion. So no disc golf.
Wow. And now, what hurt more, the forehands or the backhands?
At first, the forehands hurt worst. At Worlds, I was able to throw forehands because I was getting KT taped by Erica Stinchcomb. She's a genius. And I was able to throw some forehands for the first time in a long time. Backhand drives felt fine. Putting did not feel good. Something about, like, the injury is on the ulnar side of my wrist, the pinky side. So whenever I would putt and, like, spring my fingers, I use these bottom 2 fingers to spring the disc. It hurt real bad.
Ouch. And so you kind of fought through it at Worlds, but what was, like, the deciding factor for you to say, okay, I just need to simmer down here. I'm going to take off and do what I need to do?
I probably should have taken off earlier than I did, but I have a really hard time missing Masters Cup and Beaver State Fling. And then also Worlds was in my backyard. It's 5 hours from my house. So I just like the prospect of my mom and dad being able to come and playing in Georgia, which is where I first started playing disc golf, doing PDGA stuff. So I wanted to do those 3 events. And then I figured I would be more willing to sacrifice the Midwest part of tour. And hopefully I will be back for Vibram in September.
I guess I'll say, how will you know if you're 100%? Do you feel like it'll be just a feeling, or at what point will you know?
I have no idea.
I mean, I guess what I mean is, like, you know, whether it's how your putt feels or how a drive feels, or just is it physical only?
Yeah, I'm not going to bank it off, like, as far as how skillful my shots are, or, I mean, to be honest, I could really care less about rating or winning, or, like, at this point, would be happy to be able to play without pain. Okay. So I'm going to come back and play whenever I feel like I'm not going to be doing further damage to the injury. So when I can play without pain.
Okay. So we were just talking about your weights. What are some of the things that you're doing right now, and how diverse are all of the the solutions?
So I've kind of decided. I've been talking with Seth Munsey, the Disc Golf Strong guy that y'all all know, I think, by now. But he basically, I feel like it's kind of I'm trying to look at this as an opportunity. It's been pretty hard not being able to tour. I really miss it, and it sucks. But I'm trying to look at this as an opportunity to sort of do my own little retreat. Basically, I'm being really adamant about 5 days a week. I'm doing my physical therapy exercises. 5 days a week, I'm doing some strengthening programs that Seth has tailored for me in particular. 5 days a week, I'm doing visualization practice, which is kind of new to me. I've never done it before. I know a lot of ball golfers do it. I'm doing visualization, putting 2 or 3 times a week, and then driving 2 or 3 times a week. And then cardio 5 days a week.
So when you say visualization, describe that.
So Seth has mentioned it before. He hasn't quite given me the full 9 yards. I read a book called The Zen of Golf, or I think it's just called Zen Golf, but Golf Zen, something like that. But so I have a little bit of the techniques. I feel like that I can kind of like wing it, but basically just go do my normal putting practice without a putter. It sounds weird, and I definitely, the first couple of times I've gone, I don't really know how I feel about it. But according to Seth, and also according to a lot of the books I'm reading for mental strength for athletes, your brain can't really tell the difference between actually practicing with a disc and without. There was a study that people did with free throws where they did 100% do actual free throws and 100% do and 0% visualization, and they do 75, 25, 50, 50. Basically, the ones that did 100% visualization and no actual practice were as good as the people that did 100% practice and no visualization. So it's apparently your brain can kind of get tricked, and because I have all of the fundamentals, I can do it. So I just got to believe it.
I was just going to say, do you then feel like when you're do you make 100% of your practice putts at that point, don't you?
Oh yeah, I make all of them. Every single one. It's crazy.
Like you're never like, oh, that was left chain, high left chain. That was dead center.
I'm deadly. No spit outs. No spit outs ever happen.
So when you're done, do you walk over to the basket and get your pretend discs and then walk back like you do?
I give it. Usually, I was gonna say a pretend hug, but I give it a real hug because I'm so thankful about how few spit outs I have.
Wow.
Visualization.
Well, and you have to figure, even if you're not actually throwing a disc, you're still keeping your muscles warm, your muscle memory for every other part of your body, your legs, your back, your spine, you're keeping it all.
And I'm trying to dial in like a putting routine too, which I've never had. So that's something that I can like focus on on my routine. Yeah, I'm doing with a page routine.
I was gonna say, have you thought about flipping a disc up?
Yes, because if you want to piss people off, just flip a disc and get people.
Are intense about that.
I know.
Yeah, people don't.
There's
like
a reason I don't like people.
People don't like anything that isn't just stand there, get your form, and throw it. If there's anything extra, people are scream about how, oh my God,
you cartwheel before your putt. If it goes in, it doesn't matter.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So, whatever.
When you visualize your putting, do you putt with regular weighted imaginary discs, right?
Oh my God, I can't stand you. You're one of those people.
I just want to be clear as to how it works. No, it sounds really interesting. Honestly, obviously, it's something we've never dabbled in because, well, we never practiced.
I'm also doing breathing techniques. So
okay.
What are you working on as far as a routine goes? What are you trying, not just necessarily trying to accomplish, but what is your routine? Do you have anything specific?
Like daily?
No, I'm sorry, like your putting routine, getting something you said. When you said you've never really had a routine, do you mean individual putt or do you mean like a daily routine?
No, I'm talking about like I don't have a routine before I putt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
How like Pages does this little thing every time. I don't have anything. I literally just go up and do something different every time.
Okay.
So so I'm trying to develop that routine because apparently that's extremely important in focusing your mind before you make a shot. So I'm trying to get that part down, trying to find something that's comfortable and doesn't distract me too much.
Yeah, something you don't really have to think about at some point because you've done it so many times.
And a lot of times I was noticing that I get distracted while I'm putting a lot, and I think it would be a good idea to have that to dial myself in. So
now, with we'll say she's your regular travel mate and good friend in Paige Pierce, are you keeping up? I mean, how many details does she give you? She played this last weekend, of course, in Colorado. When she gets off the course, does she kind of rattle through the whole round? Does she give you shot-by-shot updates? What kind of, do you guys even talk about golf?
Well, she was in Florida for like 8 straight days, so like I was like, just don't call me for a little while.
You had enough of her.
No, I'm just kidding.
We're good, bestie. We're good.
We talked a couple of times, mostly because I lost my car keys and I think they're in the car somewhere and I'm trying to find them. But
okay.
The only thing I really talked to her about was that 541 foot birdie, eagle, whatever it is.
Exactly. I was going to say downhill. Make sure you get in there downhill again,
yeah,
or you'll
not that downhill. I played that course before.
I know. I'm just saying that's what all the naysayers have to make sure they immediately mention. But it was downhill.
But it plays about 4:30.
I'm a dork.
It does not play about 4:30.
I don't know.
Bullshit.
I've never. That's fine. No, we're not FCC compliant. You're fine.
No,
saying
you
it's
just
bullshit.
I'm finding you.
It's.
That's baloney.
I was joking. I've never played the round. It's a crush. It's a crush. She throws a phenomenal shot and then follows it up by hitting the what appears to be a simple birdie from where she was.
Yeah, simple.
Well, it's simple when you put yourself 15 feet away.
Yeah.
God, so it's
yeah. It was
great.
It was unbelievable.
Okay, well, I know you were there 2 years ago. I mentioned it earlier in the show that Jeff was your gracious host. He again hosted a couple pages this year, but Jeff, who was awesome. I don't think you were online at all. I was kind of gushing about that event. Go ahead and give your quick plug for it and what you think of the Rocky Mountain.
I'm so sad I had to miss it. I'm so sad. I've been looking forward to it since the day we left. I mean, it's really unbelievable. They do so much fundraising. The payout is huge for a women's event. Well, for any event. I think it was my biggest payout on my first year of touring. And it's a women's event. They get caddies for every single woman that plays, and it's usually a humongous field. So there's just so many volunteers out there. It's unbelievable. Everyone's dedicated. Everyone's got on the same shirt. There's food for everybody. The courses are super well maintained. It's a really great course for pros and for beginners. Like they don't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I wasn't lying, everyone. Madison just backed up what I said. I've just been gushing about it because it's really just an awesome event. I said, women specific or not, it doesn't matter. It's a great event. It just happens to be tailored to the women, and it's an awesome place. I guess with you not being on tour playing, are we going to see you? Are you going to be out doing anything else, whether that's caddying or hanging out or what?
Yeah, I'm going to Am Worlds. I wouldn't miss that. I mean, I can go to Am Worlds and do stuff there without playing disc golf at all. So I'll be there.
That weight doesn't take up too much room in your luggage.
I mean, I do only carry her around once, so there's plenty of room. but yeah, so I'll be there. And then other than that, I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. It's definitely easier to do the rehab from a fixed location. Where I can get into a routine, because once you get off of your routine, it's easy to slack. And since I'm doing it all myself, I need to stay in my routine. But yeah, so I haven't really decided yet. But
Okay.
Am Worlds is 100%.
All right. So one of the things that just kind of hit the news in the last few days, I think I was in Colorado for the event, but one thing that came across was that Innova has put together a stadium experience that's taking place over at Dodger Stadium on November 4th and 5th, or 5th and 6th?
Yes.
4th and 5th?
Fifth.
That's taking place in Los Angeles, of course. And I think I saw somewhere that, or maybe heard, insider scoop, that you were you were part of some of that early planning and/or research.
Yeah. Well, I actually wanted to go to the Innova factory on the West Coast because the year before I didn't get to like really visit.
Mm-hmm.
So I called Brophy the night before. It was actually like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, "Hey, want to come to West Coast factory?" I was gonna drive, but I decided last minute to fly. Like, what time should I get in? He's like, "Can you get here before 8 a.m.?" I was like, "It's 10:30. Like, no. I mean, I can, but I don't want to." So he was like, "Get here before 8 o'clock. Trust me, we'll have a surprise." So they just kind of threw me in there, which was cool. I'm very thankful, and I feel very fortunate. But yeah.
So
It was crazy. I put it on my Instagram post. I don't know if I'm being repetitive, but that on the way to the airport at friggin' 5 a.m. the next morning, I was talking to Paige, and I was like, "There's no way what we're doing," because we were guessing what could be happening,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "There's no way it's gonna be cooler than my dream last night." Like, we played at Dodger Stadium with a Tribe Called Quest, and it was the coolest dream I've ever had. Like, we got to throw in the infield with the Tribe Called Quest. And then we get there, and Brophy like reveals the surprise, and he's like, "We're playing at Dodger Stadium." And I was like,
wow.
"Is a Tribe Called Quest gonna be there?"
Duh, of course they are.
I like dreamed it the night before.
Clearly your visualization was already getting ramped up for before they. Now, when was this?
That's a great question. This was right after Masters Cup.
Okay, so approximately 2 months ago or so, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things, and fair or not, immediately as soon as this was released, there's your naysayers and your haters and some idiots. No, not you. I don't think. No, I was saying there were some naysayers and haters and idiots out there that are all worked up, saying, "Well, DD has done this for 3 years at." Now 3 years at AT&T Stadium. They're doing it over something like this over at Nissan Stadium this weekend in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
How dare Innova be copying this idea and playing disc golf inside Dodger Stadium? They're such copycats.
That's a dumb argument.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the Dodgers, someone reached out to Innova and wanted to do it.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that.
Either way, that's a. I mean,
I agree. It's a really stupid statement. Because we can turn around and say, well, everyone that's making discs after Innova started doing it in 1983 is just copying Innova.
There are people.
Well,
that
I know
that.
exactly, but
they're dumb too. But again, we're spreading disc golf. We're pushing it out to more people. It's a big deal to have things in, and
part of being an innovator in the field, like Dynamic Disc was by doing the stadium stuff, is that people are going to copy you, and you kind of should want that because
and
that means you're doing something right.
And as great as the dynamic disc stuff was, that's not even an original thing. Like, we've seen disc golf in stadiums before. It wasn't a regular thing. It wasn't Jerry World. We've seen them in. I mean,
there's a minor league down in Florida, right? Isn't Mike Barnett and some of the crew down there have a regular, like a monthly league that takes place at a minor league park?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they just know? I mean, Dynamic Disc took it and made it great. They made it an awesome event for people to come to. And if Innova wants to do that, and by all means, I'm sure they will, it's just as good. It's on the other side of the country. It's someplace it's never been.
Everyone should be stoked. I mean,
I think
it's in one of the largest cities in the world.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's taking place in, and one of the things that was really cool to me, just today when I was looking at some of the details, it's if you go to MLB.com/Dodgers/whatever, like this is the information is technically on a subpage within MLB,
Correct.
And to me that's big time.
That's huge. Yeah,
it's huge. So if you want information, it's all out there. They're offering Saturday tee times, which are pretty much full, and Sunday tee times. In purchasing it, I want to say it's around $95, and with taxes or fees and booking fees, it comes to
tickets included, I think.
Yeah, and what you get is there's a September 9th baseball game where you get a ticket to go attend the September 9th baseball game, and then the actual event you're signing up for, like I said, either the 4th or 5th, that Saturday and Sunday combo. And
they're just hoping people come to Dodger games. Yeesh.
yeah, maybe. And I'm going to go as far as saying, and I hate to almost even use the phrasing, I had a conversation with Steve Rico about some other things today, and then this was one of the things that I brought up with him, knowing that he's from Southern California, and I had said to him, "You're a manufacturer. How do you feel about this?" And dare I say, I even quoted him, which almost sounds like I did real work today. I apologize. He said, "I'm going because it's disc golf in Dodger Stadium. No negative towards any of it. Everybody wins no matter how you look at it. It doesn't matter who's hosting it. I just want to be part of it. I'm a Dodgers fan and a fan of disc golf." And to me,
props to Rico.
Love Steve Rico.
Yeah,
I know you do too.
Yeah, that's how we should all be looking at it. And of course, whether it's Jeremy Rusko and Bobby Brown and some of those guys at DD that are, may feel like a chuckle, like, oh, hi, we've been there, done that, and we're doing it. That's cool, too, and they should. They should be very proud of what they started on such a grand scale happening at AT&T and at Nissan Stadium. But by no means is there any exclusive stamp by anyone to continue this. And I'll throw myself in the mix. A few months ago, I met with the Milwaukee Bucks, an NBA team. They're still NBA? Yeah. I met with the Milwaukee Bucks here a few months ago, and I got 2 or 3 meetings deep about having something take place in the Bradley Center here in Milwaukee. And at some point, I
will shut you down, Madison.
At some point, I was going to reach out to a manufacturer. Who knows who would it have been? But I would have probably teamed up with one of our major manufacturers in the sport, and then I don't know. I just think then would somebody have been saying, well, that person is copying so and so. I don't know. It just this concept isn't exclusive to anyone. There's concerts. There's millions of other things or hundreds of other things that can take place at these large scale stadiums and arenas. And it's awesome we have disc golf, but let's not get all bent out of shape about, well, these guys did it.
Still just kind of stuck in that small club mindset when it's kind of growing quickly. So
yeah, and Mr. Disc Golf Mike Solt, I know, brought it to the Poconos Raceway out in Pennsylvania, I believe. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. Yeah. I think that's in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it is. I know they brought it there, and it was very well received, and it'll likely return in future years. There's a lot of cool places and venues that we can integrate with, and let's not get too bent out of shape being fanboys about any one manufacturer to say to negate just how positive and awesome it is in general.
Agreed.
I agree.
There's my random soapbox. Anyway, so very cool.
Anything else?
What's that?
Nothing.
Anyway, so is it safe to say you'll be there, or are you going to play an imaginary stadium that weekend instead? What?
Actually, to be honest, I never really considered going, just because I figured I would be playing that weekend at another event.
And there's really nothing going on major.
There's nothing. Okay. Well,
no,
I haven't even looked it up. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would consider going. I'd have to fly out there, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that requires a plane. Yep.
Okay, well, I haven't even considered it. Look, I have a lot on my plate right now. These weights are really heavy. Really heavy. They're weighing on me.
Weighing you down.
Yes. The struggle's real for you over there. Certainly.
It really is. You have no idea.
I don't. I have no idea how tough it is for you.
I can't play spike ball. I can't surf.
All
I
right.
can't paddleboard. I can't kayak.
Pickleball.
Spike ball. There's none of that.
No. None.
Can jam.
Nope.
No, I just have to. The only thing I can do for fun is float.
Okay. Yeah, you have it rough. So here's my next question. Obviously, disc golf is a major source of income for you as you're traveling around competing and on tour. Is there stuff that you can do that you need to do or want to do to help supplement or complement what you have going on now that you're taking time off when you're not, unless you have big old residual checks coming in that I don't know about. Are you doing other things that can help you out financially?
Someone asked about the Madison, your logo T-shirt. When are those going to be released?
I'm going to have another release of the Shrikes, hopefully. That's still not 100% yet, but hopefully. I was hoping to do a couple, maybe like lighter weight ones, maybe. But so be on the lookout for that. I'm talking to Savage, one of my sponsors right now, about doing the shirts. They are an apparel company, and that is also in the works. And I was whenever I go to Am Worlds, I was going to maybe sell some stuff at the Fly Mart. Other than that, I have a little bit of money saved right now.
Well, I guess I just meant I don't want to.
You getting a job?
Yeah,
that's what he's asking.
I was gonna say, are there other things, odds and ends, things that maybe even outside of disc golf that will pique your interest that you may, jump into for a few weeks or a few months, knowing that you're not.
Is very, I don't know how to explain it. Very I guess like small town Southern, in the sense that it's really hard to find odd jobs. It's not like when you're in California or just anywhere like on the West Coast, or like in a big city, it's easy to pick up just random odd jobs. It's not easy to do that in Pensacola. I could
TaskRabbit or something.
Oh, I could probably find some stuff on Craigslist, but everything I've done on there, I regret.
Shut it down! Shut it down! That's the statement of the night. Everything I've done on Craigslist, I regret.
Vote it.
Me too.
Me
too.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. Really,
tell me about it.
Right now, I'm just living the opposite of lavishly, and yeah. I'll figure it out as I go.
So, on a scale 1 to 10, how good of an artist are you?
Well, if you ask me, no, I'm just kidding. My mom got her degree in illustration. That's her job, is art. So I could definitely got her genes, and I can make it work. But I have never considered really making money that way.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I just heard you correctly say you've got mom genes. That's what you said? Okay.
Hey, mom jeans are coming back in style. My wife made that comment. She's like, "What's up with that?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Good ones. I just cut off.
No, what I was gonna say is I am still in need of the Disc Golf Girls official logo for the Disc Golf Girl. The Disc Golf Guy has one. So if you can make a Disc Golf Girl logo, I'm
not good at digitizing. I have no experience with graphic design at all. So putting it on the computer, you're on your own. But I can put it on paper. Old school.
That's good enough, because when we find some
other things work. Sure. Okay. What else keeps you entertained? Obviously, you're doing all this work, and you occasionally will be checking in with Paige, and you're busy. But what are the other things that will keep you entertained over the next few weeks?
Well, I haven't really, in the past 2.5 years of touring, I haven't really slowed down at all. Even in the off season, I'm just when I'm at home, I'm just trying to see people. So this is the first time I've had a chance to really slow down and consider something besides going 100 miles an hour. So I've been reading a lot. I got out all my quilting stuff. I'm thinking about getting back into my quilting that I used to do.
You're just waiting for us to make a joke, aren't you? And I'll refrain.
I'm waiting for it.
No,
really,
I'll refrain. It's too easy.
To brag about quilting.
Too easy.
But yeah, I got my sewing machine out, and I'm just trying to get in touch with my creative side. I haven't done that in a while. Got my paints out, got my sewing machine out, and I think I'm just kind of laying low and trying to really. This is the only time I think, basically in forever, that I'm going to be able to just kind of relax all day and focus on me. So I'm trying to really do that. I'm trying to really do what I want to do with my time.
Awesome. So 2 things. One, have you ever thought about, if you're doing art, you ever thought about kind of going the Cam Todd route and selling some of your art to golfers? I mean, I think there's a market for it. And 2,
he does fine art, and I haven't really done much fine art. Everything I do is more, I like more sketchy stuff. I mean, I have paints, and I do it for fun, but I don't know if I don't have really an interest in doing disc golf artwork.
I don't necessarily. I mean, I know Cam sells a lot of disc golf. I don't think you necessarily have to focus on disc golf related. I mean, depending on what you're doing, and if you enjoy, whether it's just scenery, whether it's abstract, cubist, I don't know, but I think people, don't sell yourself short to think that fans of yours and people would not pay a decent amount of money for original Madison Walker art. I don't know, just a thought.
Start painting, woman.
I've never considered it because I don't know. I went straight from biology to disc golf. I haven't never even thought about selling artwork.
And so my second question is, what are you reading to keep you interested? I think, or to keep, what are you reading?
Well, I actually am reading about 14 books right now at the same time. It's talent. I am reading a couple books about psychology. I've been kind of getting into meditation because I just feel like I could use this time to quiet my mind a little bit. So I'm reading 2 books about meditation. I'm reading one about the science of the mind, and then I'm reading a book about birding. Pretty nerdy. It's mostly nonfiction.
Mostly? Oh, okay. I thought you meant the birding book specifically. You mean all of your books are mostly.
That not many people would probably like to read.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So, okay. I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
What do you see unfolding since you're kind of taking a backseat, obviously, to the play? What do you see unfolding? We haven't had your wifey, Paige, on since winning Worlds, and we tried to even hunt her down tonight. So we're going to get her and talk to her. But how do you see the rest of the women's division unfolding? I mean, we've seen, Lisa Fakis really step up, perform well at Worlds and at Rocky Mountains, and is seeming to get more comfortable. We've seen Paige dominate damn near every single event she's entered this year. We've seen Katrina not dominate like she did in the previous year. What are some of the things that you would predict or that you think we might see as 2017 rolls in?
I don't think Paige is going anywhere. I'm pretty confident in that. I've just, the past 2 years I've been with her, this year's the first year I've seen her really finally be settled. And I think that's huge in performing well on the disc golf course. Mm-hmm. So just having that peace of mind, I think as long as that's around, she's going to be dominating. And I think that's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So I think Paige is definitely going to be in the top of the ranks for as long into the foreseeable future as I can imagine. I can tell Hokum too. She's got the drive, and I think she's found a peace of mind in the past year that's really working for her. And so I see her consistently being in the top as well. Val focusing on other things, I think is the magic pill for getting good at a competitive sport. So her focusing on the brewery and doing all the collaborations, she is going to continue to kill it and without putting much work in. So those 3 I definitely see in the top. Katrina's got the skill set. She is an unbelievably talented disc golfer. I think she will be back on the top soon. I think she's got some mental kinks to work through, but she's got a better skill set than 99% of the disc golfers, men, women, anyone. She's got it. She's so talented. So definitely those. Lisa, I hope she keeps doing good because she kills it on the putting green, and she's a lot of fun to watch. Hannah Leatherman, I think, is going to be constantly in striking range. That's one to look out for. Yeah.
Okay.
Jessica Weiss threw at the Utah Open. God, some of the most unbelievable shots I've ever seen, and she is thirsty for some wins too. She wants it. So I'd say that's definitely rounding out a good top 10-ish.
Yeah, and I'll follow that up and say right now, I mean, kind of like we both alluded to or said outright, Paige seems damn near unbeatable right now. She is in such a comfortable space, I think, mentally, that
she's got the momentum.
The momentum, exactly. To steal Ricky. I think we have to pay Ricky every time we say that.
I send him a quarter.
But I think she's got that momentum. But as you said, just that mental calmness about her, and that support and that family love and feeling, and she's just in a really happy, place in her life when she's out on the course. And this weekend, we saw kind of the opposite of. We've seen her struggle a few times in that she seems to open up with a big lead, and then sometimes almost seems like she wants to give it away or is willing to, and then she fights through it, and more often than not, she comes out on top. And then this weekend, she battled. She came out. She had a huge lead, 6 strokes or so. Val came charging back with a solid round the second round, and then they were neck and neck for a majority of that, or half of that third round, and then Paige just, again, she went to another level, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I saw Paige's second round. I actually haven't talked to her about that at all. I was kind of wondering what happened out there, but I think she's just still kind of is having a lot of fun too. So I think that inconsistency comes with all the fun having.
Yeah, well, and that's good. I mean, if she's loose and relaxed and out there, a little bit more carefree or worry, not having any worries out there, it can make for a good weekend. And I think you weren't with us yet. I had said the big event taking place in Colorado, where most of the men were that weren't caddying or helping. Joe Revere won $1,485, and Paige won $1,500 at the women's event. So pretty awesome for women's disc golf, and again for that event. So. Very cool. You got anything else you want to share with us tonight before we let you go?
I think that's about it. Yeah, I'll hopefully be releasing some stuff, so stay tuned. Keep on the lookout for some Madison Walker stuff. I'm kind of playing around with the idea of maybe doing a series of discs that are all maybe bird related. I don't know. Some ideas floating around, so keep an eye out, and hopefully I will be back for Vibram.
All right. Well,
maybe Pittsburgh Flying Disc Open.
Oh, there you go.
Because I love Pittsburgh disc golf.
Do you have any opinion on, and I don't know if you've even looked into it at all, the shorter tee pads at the Vibram Open for the FPO division?
Yeah, I actually, Steve mentioned that he talked to a couple of the FPO people. Me and Paige and Katrina were 3 of the people that he talked to at the Utah Open, and so we kind of he went through hole by hole with Katrina, and then Paige and I met up with him the next day, and he told us about him and Katrina's meeting. And it seems like they definitely made some good decisions. I'm a big fan of the changes in the layout. I didn't realize, like, Vibram's such a perfect course, I didn't think there was many things I'd want to change. But when you look at the stats from each hole and really think about it, it does make a lot of sense what they're doing. So I'm excited about what it means for the ladies' part of the sport. I think scoring is going to be a little different. I think it could. I mean, Paige is obviously always going to be. Paige and Katrina are going to be competitive for the lead because of their distance. But adding some of these shorter holes, you never really know what could happen. I think the Lisas, the Hannah Leathermans, could definitely start showing out a lot more often.
Well, and I think one of the best examples, and for anyone who is already familiar with Maple Hill, I think hole 2 is one of his best examples out there. That hole is a relatively boring and all but foregone 3 for most women. It just it's gonna be 3 or 4, yep. Yeah, maybe not a tough one, or maybe not a relatively easy 3, but to shorten that pad or have you play from a different pad, I think will make that hole that much more exciting, where you still have the element of trees to navigate around. You could still very easily go OB.
You have the option of being aggressive.
Exactly.
Whereas there's literally no way to play aggressively from that tee pad for most of the women. And even Paige doesn't play aggressive. She lays up. I don't know what Katrina does. I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure they both lay up. So we're all doing the same thing. We're all taking a mid-range, pitching up. It's boring. There's no risk.
And that's what he said. That particular hole was, he said it was like 75% took par, and the ones that didn't were because they missed putts.
Yeah.
And if you look the statistics, the FPO is going to play a course that is about 1,300 feet shorter, but it's a par 62, so they're changing some of the pars to match as well. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I agree. It's going to be interesting to see, watching the different tee pads and the FPO players, how the scores end up.
Does someone like Paige or Katrina, and I name those two because, and a Jan Allen, but do Paige and Katrina, who are most on the tour, do they have a valid argument if they say, well, by us shortening these holes, we're leveling the playing field, which actually hurts us because of our distance, or it takes our advantage away, maybe?
So when Steve is changing these holes, he's not necessarily taking out the distance holes, all of them. So Paige and Katrina and the distance throwers in our field still do have an advantage because they are more comfortable with hitting their target at a longer distance. And even though I can throw 350, I am maxed out and I have no clue where it's going. So whereas Paige can comfortably throw 350 and hit her target, 9 times out of 10, and I could be, anywhere. So I don't think it's going to take a little bit of the competition away in their
some of their advantage.
Yeah, it's going to take some of their advantage away, but I think that because of Paige and Katrina's skill sets that they have, that it won't be. I think we will consistently see the two of them placing in the top, because not only do they have that distance advantage, both of them are amazing approach shot throwers and also excellent putters. So, yes, distance is huge, but Paige and Katrina are easily two of the top putters in the field as well. So I don't know. I think it will be a little bit less advantage, but I don't think they should really necessarily be worried or anything like that.
Well, and let's face it, we know that if we'll just make up a random number and say if a hole was 400 feet and now it's moved to 300 feet and they could reach it at 400 feet, well, now they could they could potentially club down to maybe even a more comfortable disc. And so their power that they have is still going to have an advantage because they might be able to throw a more controllable mid-range to get it there.
They're more comfortable at that distance.
Exactly. So, well, when it's all said and done, is there a slight, are we leveling the field a little bit? Maybe just a hair, but.
Yeah, but the type of course that Vibram is, that distance is not even that much of an advantage already, even though there are a couple longer holes and they are shortening the course dramatically. It's still not that type of course. If we were talking about, I can't even think, like a ball golf course situation, like playing at De La ball golf course, then distance is a huge advantage. And having ladies tees could have definitely affected things. But at Maple Hill, I don't think it's that different.
Yeah, there's still a huge premium placed on accuracy out there, and whether you you have to be able to throw it accurately no matter how far you throw.
He does everything right on that course.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to let you go unless you've got anything else. The board seems to be relatively calm. There's some good luck out there. People talking about best of luck to you. What's that?
Am I boring everybody?
No,
just me. That's normal. I'm just kidding. No, I was just trying to look through. Some people were talking about they'd like to see your artwork. Of course, some well wishes for you to come back stronger. Hopefully, see you, whether it's Maple Hill or.
Oh, easy there.
Whoa!
This isn't the gun show.
Simmer down.
Put them down.
Hey, when you do curls with 2-pounders, it's a lot of reps, dude.
Killing it out there. Just trying to get caught up. Make sure we've got all of your. Who runs the Madison Walker fan club?
Me. Oh.
Paige?
Okay.
That'd be awesome if she did. There's spare time she runs this Facebook group.
I had a fan club. That's awesome.
Oh, I just made that up.
Well, I have a website if anyone is interested. I bought a domain. I don't have a website.
Oh, okay.
So what's your domain?
Is that Craigslist again?
MadisonAWalker.com.
Madison what?
awalker.com.
Awalker. Let's
yeah,
see.
Johnny V's going to check it out. Everybody's there's going to be some.
Madison Walker was taken.
Are you thinking about?
I'm surprised you didn't do like Madison Walker, then like your PDGA number or something. But I suppose if depends on what your future plans are for it.
I feel like I can put disc golf on there and like other stuff too.
No, and that's exactly it. Depends on what your future plans are. You can put your artwork for sale out there. You can.
I can put like pictures of all the nerdy books that I'm reading on there.
Yeah, all your bird pictures that you take when you're stalking birds.
Yep. Speaking of birds, Phoenix Ruger Redbird asks, will you play in the Phoenix Ladies Open, which usually is in November? Do you think that will be on your calendar out in Phoenix?
I don't know. I haven't even looked that far
Well,
out into my schedule yet.
Okay.
If she goes to Dodger Stadium in early November, that's L.A. Phoenix is only a scant 6 or so hours, I believe,
Yeah.
away.
Oh, I will
So
look
maybe
into
the next
it.
weekend.
The West Coast swing.
I'll look into it. I love 2 West Coast swings.
Women can play open, right? Yes, that is correct, Curtis. In AM divisions, I know they can choose to play in AM or women's AM. Yes, that is true, Curtis. Have you ever been, I'll say forced, but have you ever elected to play in an open division because there was no other pro women, or would you play in advanced, or what? Have you ever been in that situation?
No, whenever I was started playing PDGA events, I was playing because of the women that I met, and so I was always playing with Courtney McCoy and Jess Hill and Pam and Sandy, and just like I always had a nice little group of women to play with. So I've never had to play, and I've never played a PDGA event in anything besides open field. Or open women. I've never played like an AM event before, or anything else. So never had to do that.
So dare I ask, since we probably won't have you next week, even though I hope to run into you at AM Worlds, but do you have any favorites, any picks, anyone that you know of or have thought about regarding AM Worlds, and
No.
in any of the divisions?
Well, my friend Amy Bilodeau is going to be there playing, and I'll be caddying for her the first round, so I definitely have my money on her. I played with her at Utah Open, and she beat me. She
Wow.
killed it. Yeah, I think I have my money on her for the women's pick. I don't know much about the AMs playing this week. I'm just going to go caddy and hang out.
Okay, I was going to say one of the odds-on favorite has to be Valerie Mundahanjo.
Oh, Mundahano, yes.
Yes, I mean, I think they're going to be in contention for their like 40th and 41st AM World trophies.
That
Yeah,
family,
it's
yeah.
Her and her
definitely in the high
sister.
40s.
Yes, her and her sister. She's rated 907. Heather
Oh, she was the 900. I didn't realize.
Heather Zimmerman is the second highest rated advanced woman at 895, and then Wisconsin's own Haley King, who's sponsored by Discraft. She's declined cash a few times. She's rated 888, and so I think those are some of the people you can see. I recognize Lauren Butler, who we saw in the Final Four last year.
Amy rated.
I'm sorry?
What's Amy rated?
Ame is rated. It doesn't say.
850 or something.
Oh no, it just says that she beat you in Utah. That's weird. That's a weird rating. No, she's rated 852. Looks to be about the 13th or 15th highest rated woman at AM Worlds.
I think she's going to be a shocker.
And then a couple other I recognize Missy Gannon, who was just in Colorado this weekend. She won Advanced Women, and so she'll have that momentum we talk about moving into AM Worlds. So very cool. And on the men's side, one of the things that I jumped out at me today when I sorted by rating is Christopher Kesseloff out of California. It looks like he's only played. He became a member here in 2017. He's played in open event and one advanced event in which he won. Excuse me, I think he has 4 total rounds, and he's rated 1,000 on the dot. And he's played four rounds. His PDG number is 91498, and he's played 4 rounds.
Wow.
That's like a very, I don't want to say fishy. That's just an interesting bio.
I mean, it, could have been a guy that just played disc golf a lot and never got into the organized scene. And the right person, he ran into Fluffy out at the course, and he said, hey, you should sign up for the PDGA. And, he's got a 998, a 1018.
He's going AM Worlds. Love it.
Yeah, a 984 and a 999. So he's rated 1,000 as he moves into AM Worlds. So we'll see if those 4 rounds were a home course advantage or anything like that. But he's your highest rated player.
It's definitely a small sample size to come
very
from.
much so. So we shall see. But 631 competitors right now signed up for AM Worlds. When are you getting into town?
I believe Sunday or Monday.
Okay. And now the last few years, backtracking a little, I've seen you at AM Worlds. You and Paige have been at quite a few of the AM Worlds. Last year, you guys caddied. Last year, you actually played a round of golf with some of the juniors so that they would have someone to play with, markers as they're called. So you did one of those rounds. What do you feel like what are you hoping to accomplish while you're there?
I don't know. I feel like it's more of a selfish reason that I go, because I just really enjoy watching the juniors. It's not really anything I want to accomplish. I just really like being there. I am the juniors team co-captain, so I feel like more than ever I am obligated to be there. But like I said, I would go anyways, even if I wasn't, even if I didn't have an obligation. I just really like to go watch it. I think watching the kids play, it's some of the best sportsmen I've watched before, and it really teaches you a lot to see a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old shaking each other's hands and not getting mad when they throw bad shots. And, you know, as opposed to some of the adults that I play with on a regular basis that really just show their ass. So, I don't know. I admire them, and I really like to get to know them and, you know, let them know if they ever need anything, that they have someone to reach out to.
Okay. And do you foresee you and Paige just taking in rounds, or is she doing any kind of clinics, or do you know if she has any?
I talked to Jay Redding yesterday, and they're doing like a big combo clinic of everybody.
Okay.
On Monday, and I think he was hoping to like minimize the amount of clinics during the week.
Okay.
So I think maybe that big combo clinic on Monday, and then there's a whole bunch of activities planned every night after that. But they're all activities where they would want the pros that are present to be, you know, present at.
Yeah. Okay. And I think
there's an arcade night. There's there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I was speaking with Michael Downs at Worlds, and I think is when he informed me that Jay Redding, as you just mentioned, is in fact like the entertainment director for the week, and you know you're in for you should be in for a really fun, energetic, exciting week if Jay Redding. So that should be awesome. Cupcakes out on the board. Good to see you, Jacob. Unfortunately, you say he's not going to be at AM Worlds. We'll miss you, buddy.
Oh, he's not. Weird.
No, I know. That's what I was just thinking. He just logged onto the board and said hello, and I said hello and asked if he was going to be at AM Worlds, and he said he's not. So these AMs these days have so many obligations.
Their schedules are just packed.
Well, and I got to, again, when I was talking with Steve Rico earlier today, and one of the conversations talking about November came up, and the Next Generation Tour, which I know we've talked about a few times on the show, where they're giving away a car, that concludes also in November out at Fountain Hills. And I, for the first time, really consumed the schedule. And there's a cut to, I'm going to say, roughly 100 people. They play a round on Friday morning. I think there's then a round on Friday afternoon, then some kind of a cut to Saturday morning, and then a cut to Saturday afternoon, and a cut to Sunday morning, and another cut on Sunday. Like, they're really whittling it down. I mean, as they should be. You're going to have to play like 4.5 or 5.5 rounds at that weekend, and you're going to literally drive away in a new car. So, very exciting. So, yeah, their schedule's some real...
on their plate.
How do you feel about that?
2017, Terry. It's 2017.
Yeah. How do you feel about an amateur driving off in a new car at the end of a weekend?
I mean, I definitely am jealous of the opportunity. I'm just kidding, but I'm glad that I think it's good that the AMs have. I mean, obviously, I know there's a ton of awesome AM events throughout the year, but I think it's awesome that people are paying a lot more attention to them, to the whole community of AMs, because I mean, really, that is the future of disc golf. So, I think it's awesome.
Okay, well, it's been pretty exciting. I think we'll have to have someone from the Next Gen Tour. We'll have to get a little bit of an update, because I keep seeing posts all over about, you know, they're basically going from regionals to from their larger scale events all the way down to regionals, and they just keep whittling it down all the way until November. And I think it's gonna be really exciting to see who wins a car. All right, Mads, we're going to let you go. We appreciate your insights tonight and all the updates. We're sorry that we're not going to see you out there playing, but it sounds like you've got lots of things on your plate to keep you...
trying to stay busy, trying to stay sane.
And if you ever have updates that we need to know about, or maybe sub in with some commentary or something.
Yeah, I'm always down to do commentary for sure. Me and Paige got some good feedback on it.
You did. I listened to it. I thought you did a very good job.
Thanks.
I
Thanks.
didn't.
Thanks.
But I trust you did a great job.
That's nice of you.
No, I'm guessing you did. I just didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
Oh, it's cool. I just support you faithfully, and you can't even take a minute.
Nah, okay. All right, Mads. Have a good night. Thanks. We'll see you.
It's only 11 p.m. here. I'm not like tired or anything.
It's what time is it there?
11.
Where are you?
Am I off? Oh God, it's later than that.
It should be midnight in Florida.
But your clock behind you says 10, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Okay.
What are you doing?
If you imagine the wrong time, it becomes the.
I'm on Central Time.
Where are you?
Pensacola.
Really, Pensacola? Okay. Well,
Oh
then,
yeah, I suppose you're far enough in the Panhandle.
Then,
Okay.
then our
I'm
mistake.
First county in West Florida, like
Okay.
Oh.
the furthest west.
I thought you were closer to where the Bend
No.
in Florida is.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
where the bend is where it changes over to Eastern.
Yeah, that's why I thought you were Eastern time zone. All right, so yeah, so you're on the same time zone. It's only 11 o'clock.
Only
Go,
I know
11.
what time it is.
Throw net-
11 o'clock's late. I go to bed at 11 o'clock every night.
throw Netflix on. Watch some Master of None. It's a good
Avatar's
one.
on.
Avatar?
Yeah, duh.
But your clock says 10 though behind
But
you, right?
Not make that face about Avatar.
I mean, it was all right when I saw it. Wasn't. I mean, it's okay. I'll put it this way. It's okay.
Oh man, I'm really hating this.
It's okay. It's not great. Come on, Madison. It's not a great movie. It's just okay
No,
movie.
It's unbelievable. My favorite movie was Fern Gully, and this is like adult.
Yes,
Fern
that's what I'm saying. That's like a live action version of Fern Gully, which was a
sounds
great
like heaven to me.
which is a great cartoon. But Avatar, the TV show or the movie, was just like
We're gonna disagree on this because I think Avatar is one of the best movies of our generation.
Wow.
Whoa!
Wow, that's a
very
bold
dramatic.
statement.
That was very dramatic.
You blew my mind.
No,
Wow.
I really like My Cousin Vinny. That's not really my generation, but
No, it's
I
a
love it.
little bit before you, but it's a great movie.
I love that movie.
It's very good. So
You know what movie I don't like? The Princess Bride.
I knew that was gonna.
clearly,
I knew that was
I
somewhere.
was waiting. I was waiting for it. Have you watched it? I literally watched it about 2 months ago with my kids for the first time. It holds
No,
up.
but I recorded it
It's a
on
great
my
movie.
mom's DVR so I could watch it.
It's a great movie. Watch it.
Rewatch it because I have seen it.
You'll
Before.
love it again. It's great.
I've never seen it.
You're not missing it.
Great movie.
Alrighty then. Can we call this?
Yeah,
I've been trying to
waiting on
kick you out
you.
for like 2 hours. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, when you're bored, maybe we'll have you on an after show. All right.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Have a good night, Mads.
Adios.
Later. God, cut it already. I want to.
Just cut her. She's done.
Finally.
She said Avatar was a great movie.
Anyway, no, seriously though, thank you to Madison Walker for joining us tonight. It seemed all too appropriate to kind of get the update because obviously as one of the people that's been touring so extensively, and then there's rumors running around as to, you know, her injury, the severity of it, and all of that other stuff. We're glad to get it get the update directly from her. So thanks again, Madison. When I did reach out to Paige earlier today, like I said, we went back and forth a few times. She said, no, I'm traveling again, but you know where I'll be next week at Am Worlds, and we'll see if she's going to have time next Tuesday night. I won't be to Am Worlds yet, so I won't be able to you know, drag her onto the show, so to speak. So hopefully we can have her sometime soon. Maybe it'll be next week, maybe it won't. We'll see. I don't know that we have a lot else here in the regular show that we need to discuss.
I believe we kind of hit on all of the hot topics of the week, and
at least most of them for now.
Yeah, I mean, as far as golf related, from what I know.
I saw an ace by Simon Lizotte today.
Oh, I missed that.
I don't know if it was just an Instagram or if it was something else, but it was a little forehand ace. If I had to guess, it was under 250 feet, not negating it in any way, but it looked to be about under 250 feet. I think it was maybe over some water or something. And I forgot how he set it up. I don't know if he said it was his first one in that country, wherever he is, but I did see that by Simon Lizette. We miss his trick shots. Remember, for a while, Tuesdays seemed to be a thing for him to release trick shots, and that hasn't been a focus of his.
No, not since his whole knee thing, and he's just he's focusing more on the golf.
Yeah, well,
which I think he should. I think he should focus. No, get this. I think from like March until about October, focus on golf. October through March, then play around, do trick shots, keep yourself relevant. You know, when you're over in Europe and there's like 50 feet of snow on the ground, and
find ways to entertain us.
Yes, entertain me, please.
That's all you need to do. All right. Well, we are going to wrap this up, and we'll move into the after show where we may have some other random stuff that is that's worth talking about. We'll see. Maybe there will be. Maybe there won't. One thing we always do in our after show is give away, and I should have mentioned this a few hours earlier. I have a disc that I picked up at the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championships.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't throw women's discs.
Oh, well, if you threw them half as well
as
some of the women that throw these, you would be
true statement.
You would be way better off. But so yeah, we have a disc that we're going to give away. We'll be able to do that. Freshly signed this weekend, of course. So I want everybody to know it's got Valerie Jenkins, Paige Pierce, and Hannah Leatherman's autographs all on it. I handpicked it, and then I think my daughter actually walked up and had them sign this. And so we're going to give it away. I think it's very fitting, and it is, in fact, I don't know what disc it is off the top of my head. I'll figure that out by the after show. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Dynamite Vitchie, and our very special guest in Madison Walker, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for watching. It's been an awesome night. We'll have some more random stuff in our after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the video credits. If you're interested in being listed as a producer on Smashbox TV's podcast, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's Podcast 151 After Show. We are here, and we're glad you could join us. We just got done wrapping up our regular podcast. We had Dynamite Vitchie give us some scores from around the country, and I think even a few international scores. And then we also spoke with Madison Walker, giving us her updates.
Now,
she
did
is
we
sidelined with an injury?
Did we really speak with her, or
did
did she imagine us speaking to her?
She spoke of some visualization, some meditation, and book reading. Overall smarts.
It's not going to get old. Her imagination jokes.
So glad that you guys could join us here in the after show. We talk about anything and everything. It may or may not be related to disc golf. Generally, it has a disc golf theme. If it doesn't, too bad. Sometimes, I was gonna say we don't really. I was gonna say other sports occasionally, not so much.
Sure. Sometimes
a reference or two. Occasionally, we don't really dip into any politics or religion. We stay pretty clear of those. Mm-hmm. A lighthearted jab once in a while gets thrown out, but not too often. What other things do we talk about? Sometimes sports, entertainment, occasionally music or old school or yesteryear's music, all sorts of things. And then maybe some of the latest harmless gossip that we may find in disc golf or other places. We don't get all crazy like that Suds and Duds crew over at Murder Mike and Carl Renda over out in California. They do I'll call it a podcast. I don't think they do anything to archive it. No, they must not because it's all on Facebook.
It's not a podcast.
Yeah, it's a weekly
It's a weekly show. It's a weekly Facebook Live show.
Okay. So they do that. If you want some half-truths and some other randoms, misguided information, tune in. I think they're usually on Thursday nights, and I love giving them a hard time. There's some good guys over there. Well, sometimes they're good guys, but we love to give jabs back and forth, and it's all in good fun. I mentioned earlier, I'm excited to be at Nissan Stadium with Dynamic Discs this weekend, partaking in the stadium experience in Nashville. Super excited about that. Am Worlds is right around the corner. I think it was last week or the week before, I actually sat down and counted the amount of world championships that I've been to. And I know I've played in 20 consecutive, but then I've also attended and run one. I want to say it was like 29 different world championships. And I didn't count twice the times where, in 2004 it was AM and Pro Worlds in Iowa, or 2000 it was AM and Pro Worlds in Michigan, and the doubled up ones. 2009, that'd be a good trivia question. All the years where the AM and Pro Worlds were doubled up. I didn't count those as two separate ones. I think I've been to or been involved with 29 different world championships, and it's as sad as it may sound, it doesn't get old. Like I was excited this year. I'm still excited about it.
When I got to go to Worlds, it'd been the first one I'd gone to, I think, since Charlotte.
In 2012. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, 13 was in Indiana. 14 would have been in Oregon, which you weren't at.
Nope.
15 was in Pittsburgh, which you weren't at, and then 16 in Glassbone. 16 in Glassbone. 16 in Emporia.
No, which we put on live. So I was here for that.
Yeah.
Wasn't I here for that?
Yeah, you were here.
Yeah. I didn't know because I went to GBO on site. So I hadn't been to a Worlds in years, and I was truly excited. I was truly excited to go, to get there, to see people that I hadn't seen in forever, and it was a lot of fun. And you're right, it doesn't get old.
It never does. And AM Worlds, 631 competitors is the number I just saw. I believe all registration and everything is shut down there. And one of the interesting facts, and maybe this is something we could have talked about earlier, but an interesting fact that I came up with, I think I saw they're playing 5 different courses. This is the Advanced Men, MA1. I can't speak to all of the different divisions, but if you go to pdga.com, 2017 AM Worlds, there's a ton of information out there. And when I looked at the event, there's the event schedule and then there's the course schedule. And when I looked at that, which is version 4.5, they play, this is the advanced men's pool only that I'm referencing. They play Westlake Longs. They play Eastern is the reference. They play Richmond Hill. They play Camden 2. They play Camden 1. And then they play Westlake Shorts. So one could argue that's almost 6 different courses. It's really 5 different properties. But short and long tees out at Westlake. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, whoever wins has truly been tested in a lot of different ways.
And they deserve to be a pro at that point. You can cover. As much as I love the argument, and I probably made it myself, that I would like to see more variety in the open division courses, we know they can throw every shot. I'm not concerned about, who's going to throw a better forehand, Ricky or Paul? Okay, well, who's going to throw a better backhand? But what about backhand turnover? Make sure you test their forehand and backhand rollers. That stuff we know they can execute every shot at some point. For the AMs, we don't necessarily know that. And so I think the variety of courses for the amateur event is A, a better test for our amateur champion, but B, it's an amateur event. Having played quite a few of them myself, you want to go there and you want to check out all these courses. You want to do the extras. You want to go to the host hotel and throw minis around and check out the pool scene and go, if you're old enough, check out the local drinking establishments or dance clubs or whatever you're doing at a particular new city to you. Pro World, it's not about that at all. So
it's a little bit more serious. Yeah.
I like the variety of courses that the amateurs get to play.
Yeah, well, they will be challenged. It will be in the Quad Cities, and it's a hotbed for disc golf. A lot of great. Of course, there's a huge Midwestern representation there, but it's just a great place for disc golf. And obviously, if it wasn't, they wouldn't have been awarded a bid to have such a large-scale event there. So we're glad to do so.
Tired of Crap, thank you very much for your super chat, which means I'm going to answer your question immediately. Did any pros complain about the 4-round format of the 2017 Worlds? I personally didn't hear any complain about it, not directly. I'm sure you have some people that feel 4 rounds was a little bit short. I don't think, personally, my personal opinion is I don't think it would have changed the outcome for between 5 rounds. Maybe a 6th round if Paul continued to shoot lights out for the last 3 rounds. He may have caught Ricky. Or maybe somebody else, or Johnny gets really hot and Ricky doesn't. But I didn't hear anyone complain about it.
No, I think what we said was right. No. What I really mean, though, is what we said is that there's a lot of people that may have a slight alteration to what it was. And some people said 4 rounds is perfect. Avery Jenkins is a great example. He said 4 rounds, done, perfect, signed, sealed, delivered, no more questions, 4 rounds is perfect. And others have said just that. And then I feel like there's a slight contingency of people that have said, it kind of echoed what we've been stating, even though we aren't dialed in on the exact number, but 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5. I think there's a lot of people that felt like 4, maybe 1 more, 4, maybe 9 more holes, or maybe 5 total rounds. 4 and then a cut to a full round. But no, there wasn't anyone that's like, no, 4's the wrong number. We really need 3, and I don't think I heard anyone say no, it should be 8 or 9. For the most part, 4 seemed to be okay, and a few people said, I would love 18 more holes, but overall, it seemed like most people were good with it. It's funny how the rest of the world, us media, and everybody at home sitting in a probably an air-conditioned space, was saying there should be more golf, and a lot of our golfers said, we're good with that.
And I mean, you flip a coin on the argument of the final 9. As far as I'm sure there were some golfers that I did hear say, oh, yeah, I liked the final 9 because it gave you a gallery. It showed off our sport. Most of the time, the last few years, other than the Ricky Paul major competition, the final 9 has kind of been a victory lap. It's been it's been decided already. But I get it. Having a fun victory lap where you can watch one player strut and the other 3 compete, it can be fun. But
yeah, and Tired of Crap says, I can play 4 rounds in 2 days. It did not seem like Worlds to me. And I understand that argument. I would challenge anyone to mentally and physically go out and play 4 rounds at those 2 courses. And some people have already yelled at me saying, oh, that's such a BS response that those courses were so hard or so challenging. They were. I mean, I think a lot of our top players have also said that. These courses challenge them mentally and physically, especially with the heat and humidity, as was expected there. And yeah, all right, we'll move on.
Yeah, we have beat that subject over the past couple of weeks into the ground, but there's never going to be a correct answer.
No.
So,
and more
except for what we say.
Exactly. Alex says more international players needed. I'll just say this: you can't force any tournament to have international players. It's just not going to happen. And
I would be curious as to the time if having it in June is a little too early for international players. I know, depending on what country you're in, there are different summer vacations and things like that. So if maybe that was a factor, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the current politics. Maybe it was just the fact that this one didn't interest a lot of players. We'll see.
There's the worldwide politics that are taking place. I truly believe also factored into it. Whether you want to throw out the travel ban term or just the Trump presidency, a lot of people are very polarized about the politics that are going on worldwide, and I know that some of that factored in, and good, bad, or indifferent, it definitely was a component of it. But you can never say, well, this event sucked because it didn't have more. We cannot force any international participation. All you can do is try and make it as welcoming and accommodating as possible. But even then, there's no guarantees.
And much like our side going over to Europe, a lot of our guys just decide, hey, we're going to make one swing. You get one swing through there because it's so expensive. That's what they might decide too, and say, we're going to do USDGC. Or we're going to do, we saw a lot of international people at the early swing, at the Memorial and the Gentlemen's Club and the Masters Cup type, that early swing as opposed to what we've seen later. So I guess it's pick and choose, and it's their decision. So we'll see what happens. I'll be really curious to see what it's like next year when it's in September. Are we going to see a different set, or sit and wait.
Yeah, that's about all that's about all we can do on that end. Good night, Seti. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for always coming back Tuesday after Tuesday. We appreciate it. Chris Young, who I know is part of the overall planning and staff and crew of next year's Worlds. He's also here every week. Thank you, Chris, for being a loyal Smashian supporter and tuning in and also contributing here on our Facebook live chat, our YouTube live chat. He says next year they could do a World/USDGC swing. Maybe if there's enough to entertain them and enough play for a whole month.
Between September and October, because if you
it'll be a full 4 to 5 weeks.
And as we've seen, there's always a post-Worlds hangover.
Mm-hmm.
So if there isn't an event from, we'll just say, I think Worlds is September 3rd through 9th or something like that. Let's just say the 14th, whatever weekend that is, or around there, and then the 21st. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see if there's if people will do that. I'm not.
I hope they do. I think that'd be awesome.
Great. That'd be great.
But again, it's in September as well, so that could be different because you're looking at.
They may not have holiday.
Yeah, they might not be on holiday. they might have work and school or whatever. So it's, again, we're going to find out, and it would be good for the PDGA to take and figure out and ask, do some sort of polling or whatever over there and say, what is the best month for you to do Worlds? And what would drive you more to Worlds, and is there a month better than you? If you live in France, maybe you have August off, versus if you live in Sweden or Finland, or I don't know, because those are the only countries I can name in Europe.
I think Germany's over there.
No, Germany is
right under Australia. Never mind.
Yeah, it's an island.
Yes, correct. So we'll see as to how next year unfolds. We've got plenty to worry about here in this year already before I get too worked up about next year. But we'll see how things unfold over there. And has AM Worlds? I guess that's another question. Has AM Worlds been awarded? I don't know that it has been for next year. Maybe somebody knows something I don't. There's a lot of people that know stuff.
Yeah. It's over in like Charlotte area because isn't MTL running it?
Never mind. I knew that.
Dummy.
Duh. Yes, down in Charlotte will be the host of AM Worlds next year.
Yeah, I don't believe 2019 has been taken care of yet.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a big thread out on Disc Golf Course Review about why would anyone want to run Pro Worlds? Like,
funny enough, I could have started that thread.
You didn't start that thread.
I know, but I could have because I asked the same question.
And there's a lot of people. There's a few different answers, and Chuck has said probably one of the better answers is a lot of people use. Or at least they used to use Worlds as a way to get courses put in the ground, just like AM Worlds did. The problem with that is as we've seen now with Pro Worlds, they want the stuff on established courses that, you know, you're not probably going to say, oh, no, I'll take Pro Worlds in 2019. This way I can put a fantastic course in the ground, a world-class championship course. The PDGA is going to be like, no, thank you. At least they should. They should say, we're sorry, that's just not an option. We want to make sure that these are on established courses that have been in the ground at least a year or so, that have some history on them. So that's still great for Am Worlds, and I think that's a huge potential for Am Worlds. But for Pro Worlds, you know, you saw people on the thread talk about how the pros, some of them aren't as grateful as maybe they should be. They come into town, take the money, don't necessarily partake in anything outside of the sport, and then leave. You know, and I've seen a ton of pros, and I've very rarely do I see them not thank volunteers and things like that. Most of the people I see out there are phenomenal about that. But there is something to be said that it's not a big spectator draw. It's a mild spectator draw at best, and it's not a big revenue stream for your city.
It's not a revenue. Well, it may be
it puts
a revenue stream for the city and the local economy, but it
little
is,
bit now.
It is not nearly as much in terms of a club, so to speak, becoming profitable.
Oh yeah, no, there's
it's a money suck.
Yeah, and the pros don't usually purchase anything,
or a lot less things. Yes,
very little compared to the AMs, which are there for the Fly Mart and this and that. I mean, the pros, they'll be at a Fly Mart. They're usually signing stuff like that, and that might draw in your local golfers to do things like that. But there's a lot of people. And then there's other arguments like, you know, if you want to make a name for yourself in disc golf, you run Pro Worlds. If you want to be that person that says, I have bigger potential or bigger ambition than just being my, maybe local club president, maybe you have eyes on the PDGA board or PDGA president or whatever you have. You want to make a name for yourself, you run a Pro Worlds. So there's that avenue as well.
Well, I'm going to guess that I've run 200 plus events, more than 100 sanctioned events ish, and I've run an Am Worlds or been the TD along with a great staff, and I've attended nearly 30 Worlds. I don't have the patience. I don't have the compassion. I don't have, I think those are the two big words, the patience or compassion to be able to host a Pro Worlds. It is so, and I hate to, I'm not ripping on Pro Worlds, but it is so tough to appease these few hundred golfers, because the courses are always going to be questioned, almost no matter how they could be so good, and they're always going to get questioned. The schedule is going to get questioned, as it did this year, even though it was not it was up to the locals because the locals were the PDGA. It has such a huge requirement from volunteers. It has such a huge financial commitment, and fundraising and sponsorship have to be on another level.
And that's
it seems very unappealing. And then there's your players, as you just said. Your players some will be very gracious, some will be very respectful, some will be will recognize the time, energies, and efforts, and then there's some that'll just get on Facebook that night or every night after that, and piss and moan and complain about stuff, and it's just very disheartening.
Complain about one or two holes, and that ruins their weekend or something.
Sure, it's just very disheartening. That's all.
It's kind of funny. Other than, and I know this is a huge part of it, the fundraising portion, I think it would be fun to run a Pro Worlds.
Run one?
No. Because I don't like the fundraising part. And as we've said,
hire someone, give that away. I want to see you as the TD of Pro Worlds. That would be awesome.
Because can
I do media?
Oh yeah. let's play pretend Milwaukee area.
Okay.
You do Dretzka maxed out. Maybe even you add a couple tee pads and pins, and Brown Deer maxed out. I think Brown Deer is a world's quality caliber course. Dretska,
It's
not tough enough.
Correct.
Exactly. I mean, even maxed out, unless it were windy, that course does not have the teeth that you probably need.
Yeah, it does not.
But Brown Deer does. So it does. You max that out. Brown Deer is a pretty solid, tough course. There's some stupid shots at Brown Deer. I'm not gonna lie, but I think you could almost say that about almost any course.
Sure.
Other than that, let's just say we had 2 great courses. I think other than that, if you hand these pros right now 2 great courses, in theory, I think that's all you need to run a Worlds. The pros don't. You have a spot for a fly mart. The pros don't care about dealing with, hey, we're going to have a... Personally, I say you scrap the players' party. Done. Most of the players are not showing up to that. The only reason to have a players' party is to get people together to have a little bit of fun. You do this stuff at the fly mart. You have your pros there. They can sign discs. You bring people in. The players' parties, to me, for Pro Worlds, is kind of worthless.
You don't think it's a nice gesture
No.
to offer up a free
No.
meal to our mainly struggling competitors?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not worth the effort for the little turnout that it's probably going to get, unless you made it a huge party, and even then, you can't appease. I think you scrap it for Pro Worlds in general.
Okay.
It's going to be different at Smugs just because everybody's on site. Like, you are literally probably everyone is going to be staying within 10 minutes of that place. Or literally on
the place,
site.
yeah.
So that might be a different. But let's just say it was in Milwaukee here or any other city where you don't have a central. Players are going to play their rounds and they're going to go. They're going to leave back to their hotel room. I bet you most of them then go, do I really want to go? It's one meal. Do I really, no thanks. I think for Pro Worlds, out the door for that. What else do you have to deal with Pro Worlds? Like I said, sponsorship is
thousands of gallons of water that is refilled constantly.
Yep, I think you need a pretty good volunteer staff. Which I think let's just pretend you and I did it. We could work that up. I think we have enough people. You need probably 2 people per course for that. To run water back and forth with 2 buggies, have a nice stack of water on hand, getting all that taken care of. But I don't think running Pro Worlds is that difficult.
Okay.
I'm gonna say.
I
know you're sitting here laughing, and you ran Am Worlds. I was here. We helped out. We did. Am Worlds is a different beast. I think it's 10 times harder to run an Am Worlds than it is at Pro Worlds. Because again, I don't care what the pros think of the courses. If the PDGA walks up and says, if Sean Sinclair shows up to my course and says, this course is good enough for Pro Worlds, and I say, okay, this course is good enough for Pro Worlds, I don't care what they say about it.
What if the course isn't and a ton of work needs to be done on both of them to get them ready?
That's different then. That's a totally different situation.
Well, which is a legitimate concern.
It is. It is for any location, it's a legitimate concern. But I'm saying 2 relatively, we'll say 90% of the way courses. There's always going to be some cleanup. There might be a T-pad to replace, maybe an extra pin position to add here or there, maybe some better signage. I'm talking courses that are already ready, because that's a huge deal, is the course.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, with Pro World now, you need 2 courses. That's it. 2
in theory, yeah.
courses.
I mean, if you keep with the model that they went with this year,
assuming you don't have a huge turnout for Worlds where you need to break it into more pools.
Sure.
But it sounds like right now 2 courses, any location with 2 great courses can be done. I think for the Pro Worlds, a lot of the amenities just need to be wiped. Just done. Other than you get your rounds set, you get your OBs marked, you get your water on the course, make sure that people are there on time, and you have a nice little first hole where people get to announce names. Other than that, that's all that these pros should need.
Okay.
So that's my opinion.
I'm
going to stick to it.
It's great.
Because I think the rest is worthless to them.
Do you feel like your locals, we'll call them your mid-level pros, or your semi-locals, or even your lower level pros, will, if it's I guess I'll simplify and say if it's watered down or if it's basic. If it's basic, do you feel like any of those usual bottom feeders will have any incentive to want to go if they feel like that event is
what
nothing special?
What incentive did they have this year to go? A players' party? We saw that players' party. How many people were there?
A few thousand.
100?
I don't know. Yeah,
like we got there late, so
sure,
maybe the people were
tough to say.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't even know if there was that many. I don't think that's a draw to people.
Okay. I mean, I feel like it's a
nicety, but
yeah.
I don't think it's a draw.
And then having something structured, say at the tap room where we were, Stillwater? Stillwater tap room, and that was an organizational thing that they basically said, hey, local bar owner, can we all announce that we're going to come here and whoever wants to show up, show up.
Yeah.
For the most part, that's out of their hands
30
other
people?
than assigning that. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe roughly that or a little more. I guess that's what I'm asking, though, is
like, sure, you could do that.
Will people be less interested if they feel like there's not the energy or the effort put into doing extra things? Like you're suggesting we just wipe.
You're there to win Worlds.
Okay.
Again, it's a different atmosphere than Am Worlds. Am Worlds is I remember when we were at Am Worlds last year in Kalamazoo. Last year, 2 years ago.
That was 2014.
2014. So 2 years ago. So two Worlds ago. After the last round, I sat next to this gentleman who I'd never met before, and I just started talking to him. So, where are you from? I think he's from Alabama somewhere. And he's like, hey, I came up. And I said, oh, you got to make sure to come up. That's right, because I said you got to make sure to come up next year. Madison, my home, my kind of home area. It's going to be good courses. You're going to have a lot of fun. And we sat and talked about what brought him to Worlds. And he was like, the people. I love to hang out with the people. He's like, I don't have a chance to win.
Sure.
And for the most part, you have, 5% of the players that really have a true chance to win a division. The rest are there to have fun, extracurriculars, check out new courses, which is why they play 5 courses. Check out your local city, touristy stuff, go to a ball game, all that stuff.
And you don't think camaraderie is any part of Pro Worlds?
No.
Okay.
I think you're there to win. I think you're there to play. And if you told these players you get 4 rounds, they're going to be the best 4 rounds you're going to play this year on these great courses that we have, and that's all you get, I don't think they care. I don't think they care.
Okay.
It's fun to watch, Madison and Paige play Can Jam at the party.
Sure.
But they're few and far between. Most of our pros are not that outgoing and fun during the rounds, during the week of the Worlds. You catch them before or after, they're jovial, but they're focused. Like, their goal is to stay focused.
But don't you think some of those things provide, some of those extracurricular activities provide that atmosphere for people to relax, to have fun, and to then have that camaraderie and that opportunity?
No.
Okay.
No, I just don't think it's worth it. For the little that the pros use it and get out of it, and I've seen it for years and years. Most of the time, these player parties turn out so subpar.
Well, I mean, and I think player party is a relative term. This year
agreed.
they had a free meal out at the IDGC after an incredibly long and hot day. Where everybody had already played. Some people played 8 hours earlier and therefore, of course, didn't leave and then come back because their day started so early and whatnot. So I don't know that that's the one example that, we can always necessarily play off of.
I agree, but I've seen it for years. We've been to these parties where you show up and you're like, what? And you say it, like we say, why aren't there more people here? They're giving away a free meal.
Sure.
They've got a free tapper there that everyone can kind of, whatever. And we've said it. They just don't care about it. There are some that do, and there are some that have a lot of fun. But a majority just don't. And I think it's something that if it went away in 2 years, no one would care. The first year, someone might go, oh, that's weird that there's no player party this year.
So it's funny that Curtis on the board Funny you say that, Curtis. He just says GBO, the exception.
Yes. Yes. Completely.
Why is that?
There's nothing to do in Emporia, other when you're not there for golf. Like if you live there, I'm not trying to offend Emporia, but when you bring in that many golfers, like it's a event, like this huge event. And GBO, I guarantee you, if you had GBO and just put MPO and FPO, none of this happens. You don't have a block party because you don't have all the extra people there. The Dynamic Disc would go above and beyond anyway because they're that way. You know, they might have a few things, but GBO is an exception because it's such a huge event and you have all those other divisions. But if they were to split weekends, we'll say, and just say we're only having MPO and FPO, they're gonna have a little party, which mostly their team players are gonna show up to, and because they're gonna feel A, slightly obligated, and B, they wanna enjoy the camaraderie of their team. But like that's not a apples to apples comparison because you have the other divisions. And I think about the Milwaukee, we'll say Erin Hills, which just had a monster golf course, a monster golf event there. Like
the U.S. Open?
The U.S. Open.
We had here a few weeks ago?
Do you think they care about throwing a players' party? And I know it's different because they're making millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, they can have their own 5-star player party in their hotel room any night they want, depending on how much money they want to spend.
Yeah, but those players are here focused on winning. And that's what they should be.
But you see the players, and whether it's after the cut or before the cut, you see some of the players are out socializing at some of the local bars or establishments, going down to your Potawatomi casinos, partaking in some of the city and culture. Now, are they out there
and after the event? Not during the event.
Are they out there whooping it up? No, not necessarily. And I'm not suggesting that at Worlds everybody needs to be just partying so hard and not care about golf.
That was you and
I think Tired of Crap on the board just said, people need the opportunity to socialize, and I think some of these things that have been done are providing just that. They may not be
then do it before or after the event.
Significant in your opinion, but I feel like that's a reason why I've attended so many Worlds. I wasn't going to Worlds to win. I was going there to socialize, to see friends and family and from people from all over the world.
When you and I went, it was a different environment. There were so many more people in divisions there. I'm talking now, when you just have MPO and FPO, when the field is small, when you have 150 of your top competitors playing. You want to have a player party? Fine. Have it Sunday. You want to have a player party? Fine. Have it Monday before the event. Not during the event. Like from Wednesday through Saturday, that's golf. Everything else should just stop.
Okay.
Now, maybe you have a fly mart. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe you have that the night before. You say, hey, these are all the guys that are going to be playing tomorrow. I just think that from Wednesday through Saturday, these players should be focused on the event and the golf, and most of them are, and trying to round them up or hustle them someplace or chalk them into going to Joe's Pub because there's a thing there. That's different. You want to do a volunteer party? Awesome. I think that would be fun, and maybe that's an opportunity. The term player party, as I say, these guys don't care about that. They don't. If you throw enough money in that purse, they don't care what happens, and that's unfortunate. But I see Worlds it should become a stripped down event. Pro Worlds.
Well,
that's my opinion.
I would suggest that you run one.
I'm not going to run one.
But it sounds easy.
I said the fundraising.
Again, that I feel is easily outsourced. Doesn't mean you have to fundraise.
Somebody has to, and that somebody. Here's the problem: that somebody is I'm responsible for that somebody. And in general, as we've said, Milwaukee doesn't have the 2 quality courses that we need. I would love to bring them into Deneen.
Good call.
Yeah,
or Estabrook.
Estabrook, yes. We don't have the 2 quality. We've got Brown Deer, which is basically your big. If you want to do Brown Deer and maybe go down to Kenosha.
Yeah, that's too far of a drive.
But that's too far. Those two are split. I mean, we've seen worse, but those are 45 to 50 minutes apart from each other. Well, the courses are further than that even, but staying in the middle somewhere. It's not. And like I said, I'm not saying running Pro Worlds is easy. I think it's easier than Am Worlds. So.
All right. Well, I think we've beat that one to death.
Yeah.
So we can move on.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else out on the Reddits?
I haven't seen anything major. We're in a really kind of in a slow point between major events. We just had Worlds, and the next one is European Open. We've got a couple of these A tiers. There isn't a Pro Tour event yet, and there's not a World Tour event, so things are kind of, we'll say, quote unquote, quiet.
All right. Well, for those that don't recall or don't remember it, because of this little bit of break, the second half of the Disc Golf Pro Tour will be again kicking back off in the early part of August. We're going to be heading over to the Ledgestone Insurance Open, 4 rounds at Lake Eureka Park. That's going to be for the MPO division. As we, I think, referenced at one other point, the pro women are playing, is it Sunset Hills, did we see? What's the other course? Did you look? The pro women are moving off of Eureka.
Correct.
They're playing Sunset and
Northwood
Park. So we're going to see, it's going to be interesting from our perspective. Obviously, the plan will be to, again, film the women playing and get them recorded, get them edited, and then splice that into the men's round. That is obviously the plan.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting because they're going to be at 2 other courses that we just mentioned, which are not the course that we're currently, that you'll be viewing live. So that'll be something new that we haven't really been focused on this year.
That'll be really interesting to see that happen.
And I don't see it being a problem, but it will be interesting because that relation, that comparison won't be there. You're gonna watch 4 guys tee off on we'll just say 1,000-foot hole, and then we may cut over to the women playing hole 4 at Sunset Hills, and it might be 140 foot, or not 140, a 250-foot hole or whatever. And so that's going to be a little bit different. I don't think it's going to be bad necessarily, but it's something that just hit me that it's going to be just a little bit of a different workflow.
Sunset's awesome. I really like that course. It's a perfect FPO caliber course. It's a little bit shorter. There's a few really big throws out there, but for the most part, a lot of stuff is birdieable. I'm not the biggest fan of Northwood Park in general. I think it's okay, but to me, it's kind of blah. And the first 3 or 4 holes are nice, and the last 3 or 4 holes are nice. I think everything in between that back and forth is not my favorite. But I really like Lake Eureka, and I really like Sunset. So we saw the women play on Sunset a few years ago. I'm looking forward to it because I think it's a good change. And unless they were to adjust Eureka by shortening a bunch of holes, then the women, it's best for the event that the women are not at that course.
Well,
as far as flow and things like that.
So we're excited. That's when we'll be kicking back off again. We're going to see some coverage in the next week or so come out from Jomez as well, as they're taking place at the Disc Golf World Tour event overseas. So look for that. One of the conversations, and we'll glaze over it, is Dad's Drunk and I think some others. We're talking about possibly having Worlds, we'll say like the Daytona 500 at the beginning of the year. And whether that's February or March or whatever. I guess my question is, does it matter what month Worlds is in?
Does it truly matter? No. Because again, I think we've beat this into the ground, but this Worlds event, and throw it in quotes, it's just another event. It's 4 rounds that we call Worlds. Why is it any more or less important than the Memorial?
Okay.
I mean, it's true because there's nothing right now that sets it apart other than the quality of the event and the courses that it's played on. This year we saw it played on 2 very difficult courses. But, where you have the Pro Tour, which has, a point standing that that you have to qualify and become the champion, the Pro Tour world champion, so to speak, if you could call it. Worlds, I don't know. It just, I'm kind of, unfortunately, I'm in the boat where there's right now, there's just not a lot setting it apart.
Okay.
From other events. So it doesn't matter where it is. It could be,
except for that you hopefully
June
show up and play your
September.
best golf
Correct.
of that given week, of course.
Of course, everybody. But
Yeah.
but everybody wants to play their best given golf
Every
week.
weekend. I understand. I'm just saying there is a higher emphasis in that when you win that weekend you're on.
That weekend gets you a disc. Gets you a disc with your name. So there's added pressure there, probably because we call it Worlds, that adds pressure to the event, which then ratchets it up, which then makes it feel more prestigious. But what would you say if suddenly they said, rather than having a World Championships, we're going to pick a different event every year, and we're going to call that our World Championships. One year it'll be the Memorial. You win that, you're World Championships. The next year it's the Vibram. You win that event, you're the world champion. Does that change anything? Because you're now calling it the World Championships. It adds that extra pressure to it, and it changes wherever it is every year. Does it matter? I mean, just because you call something the World Championships.
Yeah, I mean essentially that's almost what we're doing because it's rotating from city to
Exactly.
city all around the country so far, and not so much international, but it's rotating all around to these various places around the country. So that's kind of what it's like, and I guess there's. I don't have a problem with that. There's right now it's been deeply rooted in the history of being in the time frame that it is in summer, June, July, August, that general time frame. Well, not even June, really July or August, whether it's late July, sometime in August, whatever, is where we've seen it for the last 20 plus years as far as I can remember. And there's an argument to be made about whether it should be at the very end of the year, after people have gone through a whole rigorous year and who has withstood the test of time and injury and all of those other things. And that's when we currently have the USDGC, which has been built up from a 56-person event to now are obviously arguably one of the most prestigious events, first, second, third most prestigious, however you want to classify it. So I don't know if the time frame of it matters so much. I don't think someone has to say, well, let's move it in the beginning of the year so it's like the Daytona and it's the biggest year. I don't know that matters necessarily either.
But even I hate that analogy like Daytona because yes, it's their most popular event, but is that because it's the first event?
Yeah.
And I don't know much about racing, but they still have a race to the championship. They still have some sort of crazy point structure. NASCAR likes to change it every year lately. I know that. And they still award like a cup championship.
Sorry. McGeisky says, I think they should have 7 players parties Monday through Sunday, and Avatar is shown on all 7 parties.
That'd be fun.
I love you, buddy.
That'd be great. Everyone gets 3D glasses so you can watch it.
That's I'm a fan. That sounds like a good idea. And one question that was asked out here was, if something about merging or something about do you think disc golf would benefit from a merger of all the leagues like NFL did way back? And
not yet.
No, I mean everyone is finding themselves right now. To maybe a child or even adolescent or maybe even adult phrase. I think everyone's just finding themselves, and I think the World Tour has a certain set of goals that are largely backed by not just a person, but then also with some vested company interests, as does the Pro Tour. The Pro Tour is run by a different individual that has a different set of vested interests along with investors that maybe aren't as specific to any one brand, but has a slightly different goal and a way to try and achieve it. And then the PDG's National Tour, I feel like, has a slightly different vision. All 3 of those have a slightly different vision. They're all finding themselves, and they're all doing what they do in their own ways. I think whether it's survival of the fittest or whether they all coexist or whether they merge, any one of those 3 things are possible. time will tell. I don't think there's. I think it's too early to say any one thing needs to happen, and just because we say it doesn't mean it's going to happen. In fact, I don't think it's going to anytime soon.
No, nor do I.
Everybody's trying to put their own stamp on and do things their certain way to try and make it successful. And not every same exact reason we can just end the just really idiotic, beyond idiotic statements when people say, I just think all the disc golf companies should just get together and be one big company. Tell that to Sprint and Verizon and AT&T. In fact, is there not laws against doing just that for them to all do it? So same reason why Chevy and Ford and Volvo and a million other car manufacturers aren't going to get it all together and just say, hey, we're going to just create like the single best car out there. There's variety for a reason. So, yes, the tours may or may not ever merge, but quit telling us the companies are going to, because that's not going to happen. One may acquire another here or there, but at no point is Discraft and Innova and Gateway and the other 98 companies that exist, are they all going to say, hey, let's just become one big company? Because that's silly.
I don't know, man.
It's just not going to happen. All right.
All the media companies should get together. And
Yes.
all the podcast companies should get together.
Exactly.
And yeah.
All right. So it seems like there's a side conversation taking place on the board.
About women's form in general.
Okay.
Danny Lindahl, for many of you know him for many of his form videos, saying that a lot of the FPO players that we see do not have a pro level, as he calls it, a pro level form. And I think that's part of it is there's a smaller pool of FPO. And he said there's, you've basically got just the top ones that have true pro level form. And I said, some of that might be physique. There are some of them that may have issues. Like, this gets into a touchy subject here, but watch Paige's form. Watch how straight she can pull back and pull through. Val is not able to mimic that form due to her different physique. So, as we've said before, Val has more of she rounds the disc around her body more. I mean, she still has a lot of power, and there, I'm sure if you ask any of them, there are ways they can improve their form, whether they can pull back further or come through faster or things like that, or their footwork needs help. And I agree. I think I'd love to know, and I don't know what the statistics are, if you look at what Danny considers pro level form, how many MPO have that percentage wise? Would you say you basically have probably 10% have true, really good form, nice pullback? You got your Simon, your Paul, Ricky. Maybe I don't know if you consider Ricky.
Sure. I mean,
but depending on what you're considering, and then you look at the percentages for FPO. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation as well. And I'm not a technical guy that likes to
nor am I
analyze or break down all that. That's why we have people like Danny out there who does things of that nature.
Yeah, but everybody can go to improve their form, regardless of who you are. I mean, Simon will tell you he needs to improve his form, and David Wiggins will tell you he needs to improve his form, and he throws further than anyone on this planet, or has thrown further than anyone on this planet. So I would be curious, just as far as where, in Danny's opinion, name, who has the best form for the MPO versus not. Would you consider? I wouldn't consider Eric Oakley's form. Look how he does his run up. I wouldn't consider, Yuli particularly has a fine form. It does the job, but is that
it's far from textbook?
It's far from textbook. So
although very
very
effective,
efficient and effective, because you know what? Take my form, which is horrendous, and if I work at it enough, I could be a 1,000 rated player with my form. I'm not going to be 1,020. I'm not going to be 1,050. But you can get something to work,
even if it's not
not ideal.
Yeah. Ryan Pilcher says
you were almost 1,000 rated player, and your form, if you watch Terry, is you sweep up with your hand. There's so many pictures I used to take of you when you were on the tee pad, and you could see the bottom of your disc like right here, because Terry would hold his disc up almost vertical, at least at a 45-degree angle, and kind of swoop through, and you were almost a 1,000 rated player. So
I was also 109 pounds lighter. I wasn't. I
was going to say, did you?
No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't. I wish I was. Yeah, correct. So yeah, obviously anyone can get any form to be effective and work. There's just going to be limitations.
Yeah,
obviously at a certain point. All right. Looking at Ryan says, wouldn't Josh Anthon's form be considered not professional level and yet has been a top player? Or does he have good form and just a wacky approach? No, in terms of probably his run-up, and I shouldn't try and speak for Danny, but I'm sure if Danny said, all right, give me the tapes, I'm going to look at Josh Anthon's form for an hour, he would probably check the box not pro level. Although Josh, clearly being the third highest rated player in the world and a very successful player, he makes it work for him. However, if you were comparing that to
no, wrong.
The textbook.
He says Josh has pro-level form.
Oh, he did say that?
Yep. So does Eric Oakley.
Wow.
He said he can't think of anyone off the top. Really, Danny? Like,
then I don't understand your definition of pro-level form.
Yeah. Because watch Eric Oakley. Yes, he has pretty good pullback and straight pullback, but his run-up, it looks goofy, and he has like this weird...
Yeah,
and this is a Danny thing. Danny can get into this on his YouTube page.
Yeah, there you go. If you're confused,
and like I said,
like I am,
I don't mind.
Ask Danny, because I don't understand how you can. I can understand pro level results. I don't understand pro level form. If you're saying Eric and Josh's both are, but anyway, we're gonna move on to a giveaway because we've got. Yeah, a pretty cool giveaway. So this is a disc that I picked up. I think I still owe for it. I picked up a Sheriff, a 173-gram Sheriff. I had my daughter run around and grab a few autographs. Not that I couldn't, but she did for me. This has a Valerie Jenkins 4-time signature, a Paige Pierce signature, and then a Hannah Leatherman signature. This is on again, a dynamic disc Sheriff. This was given away, or sold, I should say, at the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championships. I'm not doing a very good job with that.
No, you always like hold it in the middle.
Well, I hold it in a logical spot between us, although that's not, what works for the
we've
camera.
We've only done this for 2.5 years.
I know, that's just not what works for the camera. So there it is. I'm going to give this away. This will likely go out tomorrow. If we can make sure we can find the name and address and all that stuff. Hopefully you're even watching. But this is a pretty sweet disc. Hang it on your wall or throw it, but I think it's pretty cool. So Johnny V is going to go out to a random number generator, and some lucky winner is going to get a very cool disc.
All right, if you want to be eligible for our giveaway, you can sign up at patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV for as little as $1 patronage per show. Or per month, actually, if you want to cap it. You are qualified for the weekly giveaway. Sometimes it's a disc. Last week we gave away $100 worth of stuff, thanks to the disc golf store, disc store. Thank you. So again, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Sign up, help us out, change our lives, all that fun stuff that we always say. So all right, so we have 152 people. We're slowly chunking away, keep going up there. I'm looking for it. I want to get to 200 people.
200,000
million. 200,000 million. All right, so out of 152, I'm going to go to random.com.org.
Random.com brings you some nasty results, folks.
Does it?
Not,
yeah,
no,
I said at random.org. So
yeah,
number one between 1 and 152. Hit the generate button. I've sorted my first names. It's number 61.
61.
61 is Jeff Carson. Jeff,
I believe
Carson.
That's a new name.
That is someone we haven't heard before.
So Jeff Carson, you are a winner if you are on.
Did Jeff Carson just comment? Because last week that was the secret, was you needed to comment just as I was calling it off, and you seemed to win.
Yeah.
So Jeff Carson, congratulations. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you, everybody, for continuing your patronage. Terry got those discs and got the design and sent it to DD. So
and it's kind of funny. I have an update on it. So
woohoo.
last week I had sent in, or whenever it was, a week or two ago, thanks to Rick Hushain, I had sent in a disc stamp design to one of the manufacturers, and I said, "Hey, will this work? Will because there's a lot of requirements with the artwork. Will this work?" And they said, "Oh, we'll let you know. We'll get back to you." And then it kind of fell off my radar for a few days. Today I followed up with it again, knowing we had the stamp, and it was funny because they actually followed up and said, "Do you mean to spell it that way? Is it really spelt Patreon, like Patreon, or do you mean patron?" And well, again, this is for our Patreon people. So this was, I'll show Johnny. This is the first he's seeing of it.
No,
that's
I saw this one.
Well, this is an actual mock-up, I guess I should say.
Oh yeah, I saw the stamp. That's an actual.
So this is an actual mock-up. I think they had to do that, put those lines in there because it was probably solid. So this is a mock-up, and in my opinion, I think it looks great.
I think so too.
So it'll be a surprise. I don't want to show you guys it, but I think we'll be able to pull the trigger now that I have this official proof stating that it's that it could be good to go. So I think we'll have those another step along, I guess is what I'm saying. And I want to also answer for those who aren't paying attention in terms of reading along on the YouTube chat. Dad's Drunk asked a question saying, is it weird to have one sponsored player signing on a disc that they're not sponsored by, as in Val Jenkins by Discraft, Paige Pierce by DD, of course, but then Hannah Leatherman, who's sponsored by Innova. So basically, is it weird for, in this case, Hannah or Val to be signing a DD disc? And the answer is absolutely, positively not. Do not feel, don't apologize. That's probably one of the number one things I hear is a fan of the game or a spectator will come up and they'll say it to Nate Doss this weekend. Hey, will you sign this disc? Sorry, it's an Innova disc, or sorry, it's a such and such disc. You don't have to be sorry. Mm-hmm. They're not mad. They don't care. They realize there are lots of great companies out there, and they are a POS, I think would be a term. If they said, no, I'm not signing that, it's a such and such disc. I've never heard that in any serious capacity. Never. And I hope I never do.
I will call them out.
I
literally.
will. I would be the first to call them out. Yeah, for sure. I would make an example of them. But Valerie Jenkins will sign an Innova disc, and Paige Pierce would sign an MVP disc. It doesn't matter. If they are flattered and honored to be, and graciously usually signing autographs, and you do not need to have their company. And I guess maybe that is something that I've now known for a couple decades, but it's probably worth relaying. So you don't have to be cautious or worried or nervous when you walk up to someone and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I only have such and such company, and I know you're not sponsored by them." It's not a big deal. It's really not. So, and so you're saying the question wasn't will they sign it? It was, is it weird? And the answer still is no. They all realize there's many manufacturers now more than ever, and there's no way to appease everyone. I mean, look at this disc. 3 of the top women in the world, 3 different sponsors. They don't expect you to walk around with
I got 4 discs.
You sign this and you sign that. No, it's all good. Yeah. Not a problem. No big deal. So, hope that I clarified. Ryan had said, I thought there was going to continue when Terry mentioned my comment. No luck. Sorry, what was your...
I think he meant the luck. As winning.
Okay. Sorry, Ryan. No.
Winning the giveaway. But no, I just sent the email to Jeff Carson, so congratulations again, Jeff. You should get that email saying that we need your address. So when Terry can send that out.
So today was Prime Day?
Yep. Today is the day that they're...
So what?
It's basically their version of Black Friday in the middle of the year. Traditionally, Black Friday has always been right after Thanksgiving. Well, it still is. Right after Thanksgiving. And that is the day, the reason it's called that is because that is the day most retail shops actually get into the black as far as make money. That's when they've covered all their costs for the year. And then now at that point, they start making money. obviously because it's got Christmas and stuff like
Dollar
that.
bills, yo.
So now we have Prime Day, which is today. I think it's their attempt just to kind of say, hey, we're going to get a bunch of deals out there. We want you to buy stuff.
Yeah, we just want you to buy stuff.
Yeah. And
we're plenty profitable all year long, but today we want you to buy even more stuff.
They are, because I got myself one Amazon stock, and bought it at $300, and it's worth $900 right now. So
rolling,
boom. But no, it's just a day that they want you to buy stuff. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing. I don't know why it's this particular day. I assume it's just the middle of the. Yeah.
I would like to quickly give a shout out. To I apologize. I'm gonna have to look. Oh, there it is. To Matt Kenoshi and Matthew Kenoshi. He signed it Matt, so that works. I ran into Matt. I think it was Saturday. He was at Purple Park in Colorado at the women's event.
It's just a funny name for a park.
Purple Park. Yep. And they put in blue baskets, but I'm not gonna say anything. That's none of my business. But at Purple Park, I ran into him. He came up. He introduced himself. He said, "Hey, I just wanted you to know that I didn't know about this event going on until I watched Smashbox."
Wow.
And then he was out there spectating the all women's event
that's
taking place.
That's
and then
great.
the next day, he stepped it up another notch, Matt, and he showed up with a camera and a DSLR, and he took some pictures, I think a bunch of pictures, and then he sent me a copy or at least a link to them and said you can use them however you need to, and I think he sent them down to the TD, and I'd love to get some of them out there, and I don't know if I have a specific need for them myself, but the fact that is he showed up, he came out to the event, he found out about it through us, which is almost scary.
Yeah.
And so, Matt, it was a pleasure meeting you. It seemed like you had a really good time. I'm glad you came out there, and I think that's awesome. One other quick thing that I want to say about that event, what's another cool thing that they do, is because these baskets can't be permanently left in this Purple Park, because it's this really nice subdivision park, and they don't want to overrun it with disc golf, and because it would get played by a million people. And it's going to be only used for special events, fundraisers, the women's event every other year.
Mm-hmm.
They also then had 18 basket sponsors. So, for instance, if you wanted to support the event, you could buy the basket before the event. You commit to buying the basket. I don't know what the exact price is on it, but you buy the basket. You're recognized as a sponsor on the basket.
Cool.
And then at the end of the event, you get the basket. So it got played on for the weekend, and then you have a basket at the end of the weekend from the event. And I think that's a really clever idea. I think it's awesome because the baskets aren't being permanently installed and left at the park anyway. And I think it gets you a good price on the basket, plus you support the event. I don't know. I think it's a really clever idea. So congrats again to them, and thank you to all the awesome sponsors. At the end of every hole, I attempted, if I was on the right side of the basket, I attempted to kind of zoom in on who they were so I could leave it there in the video. I felt like that was a little way I could recognize
That's awesome.
them.
That's
so, again, another unique idea out at the Rocky Mountain Women's. So, what is Disc Golf Nerd Super Chatter?
Thank you, Disc Golf Nerd, for your $2. We appreciate that. Where the hell has Yuli been? He too cool for us?
No, absolutely not.
He's absolutely not too cool for us. I saw him at Worlds when I covered his doubles round with Kat. At one point, I tripped him, sat on him, and just kind of threatened him.
Pinned him down.
Yeah, I said, "Listen, dude, you need to get back on the show." And he was crying. It was kind of sad, like a little baby.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I did actually tell him. I said, "Dude, we got to get you back on the show." He's like, "I know. Just earlier in the year, it was just there was things going on that he couldn't. He was focused on golf and his injury and this and that, and he wasn't in the mood, I believe, to join the podcast. But I would really, really, really like to get him back on, starting, kind of after the European Open. Let's let him get there. We can start talking about fantasy stuff again. We did talk a little bit on that Sunday about who we'd each picked during the thing, and he was laughing that he'd picked himself, but then he laughed at me because I picked Barry. and which they finished within a few strokes of each other, him and Barry. So there was us jabbing back and forth. He's still really into the fantasy, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'd really like to get him back on as a regular segment.
Yeah, so it's certainly, like we said about Zoe earlier, he's got an open door to join us any given Tuesday night when it fits into his schedule. We realize not only do we run late, but our players are traveling, they're practicing, they're going to player parties.
So many player parties.
They're busy.
So many
they're busy
player
doing
parties.
things. So I guess one of my questions would be, and now it's a little out of order, but one of my questions would be: is there anyone on the board for both of these? Is there anyone on the board right now that I will see at Nissan Stadium in Tennessee this weekend? And then I'll follow that up with: is there anyone that is planning on doing the Dodger experience in November? I'm curious. I guess I should have asked that earlier. There's been a conversation about being in Los Angeles for the Dodger one as well in November. I don't know that it's going to for sure happen, but there's been a conversation about it, and I'm just saying there may be a need, a necessity to be out in Southern California in November. So more on that to come, though. All right, Danny says, me. Can't wait to talk about your pro-level form, Danny. I'm just kidding. Awesome. I'll see you Saturday, of course. Plan on Sunday just for the Nissan. Danny Lindell says he'll be there. And Greg, I'm not sure which topic of conversation. Zoe Andyke is good. Poll 2. Okay. I'll probably be at the Dodger Stadium. Seth says, awesome. Disc Golf Strong will be at the Dodger Stadium. It was the ham brick. Oh, Johnny is currently looking into details for what the next.
Yeah, somebody asked. Well, the next fantasy event is the European Open, and after that is the Hambrick. I put the Hambrick on there way early in the year. A small part of me wants to pull it off the tour, and because it's kind of got some middling turnout for top pros. There's probably about 8,000 rated players.
Okay, but
at this point, I think I may just leave it. There's no reason to pull it out of the tour. So I think I'm just going to leave it on there.
All right. McGeisky says, when is the next live Smashbox covered event? That is the Pro Tour Ledgestone, which we're talking about.
The Ledgestone
Insurance Open. Yes, the Ledgestone Insurance Open taking place in August, early part of August. That's when the next time is that we are currently planning on being live.
Yeah, Dad Strike, you asked me if I was going to delete the Hambrick event, and I seriously sat and debated it, but I ended up just leaving it on there because I know there were a few people that had already made picks way ahead of time, and I just like, whatever. It doesn't hurt anything.
So, I was going to say, does it hurt anything to leave it in there?
Not at all.
Okay, well then it'll be there. I will be at Ledgestone as well. Sounds good, Danny. Looking forward to seeing you there. Well, I think we can call it. I think it's been a long enough night. I don't have anything else crazy for you. Jeffrey Carson?
Jeff Carson.
Jeff Carson.
Yeah.
Jeff Carson, our winner here. Looking forward to get this sent out, and I feel like I've got other secrets, but they're just that. So I'll have to share them with you guys next week, next year.
Maybe
next year, some of them. Look for, be patient. Well, it's a combination of things. There wasn't an exact hurry. We want to strategically roll out the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championships footage. There's a few extras that I want to do and make sure I get right. Yes, it's one camera coverage. That's me. But I've got a few fun little extras that will be thrown into the various rounds. One of the rounds is essentially completely edited except for graphics and scorecards. And the edit isn't going to be my biggest challenge. It's some of these fun little extras that I want to have in there, and I'm working with some graphics and such. So look for those to unfold. I think they're going to come at a perfect lull because there's not a lot of stuff video-wise that's unfolding in the next 7 to 10 days. We're going to move into AM Worlds, and then after that, we're going to move into, that same weekend we'll have the European event. But we'll space these so that you're going to be entertained, and if you really want women's disc golf to grow, put your money where your mouth is, or your eyeballs where, I don't know, and watch some of the women's footage, because it's very entertaining.
Okay.
There's some really good golf.
There is.
Really great. Spoiler alert. Paige Pierce shoots a 10-21 rated round to open
Then
and
slacks.
finishes off the tournament with a 10-29 round. Just saying, it's some great effing golf.
It was good golf.
And there's other great golf by other women as well, but I'm just telling you, she plays some great golf. So make sure you tune in and watch it. All right.
Couple things. One, congratulations, Danny, on your new sponsorship. He's now a DD sponsored player.
I didn't see that coming.
I know. Two, go see Spider-Man.
You would.
It's really good.
Really?
It's really good. It's one of the better Marvel movies I've ever seen. And that says a lot because I like the Marvel movies. This was a perfect Spider-Man. If you dig the character, you've got a kid having high school problems as a superhero and being 15. It was a lot of fun.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, tell me about it. Modern Rogue. There is a YouTube channel called The Modern Rogue. They just opened a Patreon, but they've been doing these really awesome videos on YouTube. I think it's one of the best produced YouTube shows out there, hands down. It's like a mini. It's really cool stuff. They teach you how to do things like fashion a spear out of an old newspaper, or things that you would need for survival. They do other things. Basically, kind of just a modern take on a lot of stuff. So I give that a shout out tonight. Go check out The Modern Rogue. And
So is it like a DIY,
kind
like
of
life hack DIY page?
kind of, yeah.
That's
I mean,
cute. My 8-year-old watches those.
look, go to the videos. Rattle off some of the video names.
I had all right. Learning the wrist lock takedown.
Yep. Different.
How to fight with
With
a
a-
long sword. Okay. Secrets of counterfeiting and currency. That one would certainly interest me. Melting styrofoam with knives.
Into knives.
Yeah, wow. With. I don't know where that word came
Yeah.
from. Blowing up a car. I don't know how useful that's going to be to me, but how to hit a bullseye on your very first shot.
With an actual gun.
Chose a gun.
They talk with an actual gun expert on like these are all the things you need to do.
It's please tell me visualizing it is the number one answer. Choking an attacker with their own jacket, making and testing homemade parabolic mic, making real life shotguns / propane explosions.
So I mean it's just
Order a whiskey like a gentleman. Now that is one
and there you go. So it's
you
just
must have dialed in.
it's anything you need to be what they call a modern rogue. I enjoy watching the series. It's pretty cool. Like I said, hands down one of the best produced videos on
Awesome.
YouTube. So if you get the chance, go ahead and go out there. And yeah. And did I give a shout out to Action News last week?
I don't think so, but I said DIY.
Not DUI.
That's funny.
There's a card. I just got a card game in the mail from the maker of Exploding Kittens, it's called Bears vs. Babies. My son and I played one round of it tonight because we just got it. Very fun, cool little card game, different thing. And then there's a new one out there called Action News, which is on Kickstarter, which I backed, and it looks it seems like it's going to be kind of a fun card game as well, where you get to play the. It's kind of like those kitchen magnets type game, and you need to make a story out of an actual story that's a historical story, but you need to make your own kind of cut on it, and then whoever's in it decides. And it looks like it's a lot of fun. I backed it because I like card games. So
Okay. There's some recommendations by Johnny V. One last thing I'll say on my end is if you're going to be at AM Worlds, or if you maybe I'll rephrase that. If you're interested in being any kind of camera person at AM Worlds, I think I'm going to be there during the latter part of the week. If you're going to be there earlier or want to, just reach out to me. Someone said this weekend, very generously stated and said, "Oh man, if you got an extra camera, I could be catch cam or get more footage for you." And I didn't have another camera along, but I guess I need to be more proactive in saying, hey, if someone wants to help, I could find ways for you to be super helpful. So I'll throw that out there. Usually I pay in big hugs and random beers and stuff like that, or random hugs and big beers. I don't know, but yeah, I just want to throw that out there. And I usually do it a little too late. So if you're within a few hours of AM Worlds and you think it'd be cool to be there for the last day or two, or you think you could capture some footage, or you're good at editing or something like that, and you think you could be assist me, you probably can, and you're probably better at it than me. So let me know. I'd be glad to chit chat with you. Avatar. Okay, we're going to move on. I'm not even going to read all of that. It's been a long, rambling night of lots of odds and ends. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for all your patronage, whether you support us financially or not. We're going to keep doing it. We hope that you keep tuning in. We're going to get big time, then we'll move on. But we hope that you keep tuning in. We hope that you find some value in some of our ramblings. At least mine. I don't know about his. For Johnny V and Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, I'll see some
Future
of you at
Pro Worlds
the
TD.
Nissan Stadium Experience or at AM Worlds, but we'll check in with you next Tuesday night. You step inside the Smashbox.